The Marcia Weekes Show. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. Talk truth, build roots, stories unfold. Motivate change, mobilize is the mode, that's the MR code. Hey! We growing, we know it.
Nobody's greater. Nobody's greater. You're my armor. And there's no greater love than your love. Nobody's greater than you. No greater love than your love. No greater love than you. No greater love than your love. Nobody's bigger than you. You are mighty. Worthy you are. You are wonderful. You're my armor. And there's no greater love than your love. No greater love than you. No greater love than your love. No bigger love than you. No greater love than your love. Nobody bigger than you. Nobody bigger than you. Nobody bigger than you. Nobody bigger than you. I've searched and I still can't find no greater love than the love that I found in you. You. I've searched and I still can't find no greater love than the love that I found in you. I've searched and I still can't find no greater love than the love that I found in you. I've searched and I still can't find no greater love than the love that I found in you. There is no greater love than your love. There is no greater love than your love.
Well, good evening to all of you joining us here on the Marcia Weekes Show. I am your host again for tonight, Reverend Ferdinand Nichols, and it's a pleasure for me to be with you. Always a joy to share with you, the loyal opposition, and to be a part of, overseeing and watching and analyzing what our government is doing. This is the role of the opposition party, and as currently we have none in Parliament, it's an important role for us to carry out as the citizens of this country and as the loyal opposition. So I want to welcome you to the show tonight, and it's my tradition that at the completion of the national anthem, we make our renewed commitment to our flag and to our country. So I'm going to ask you to join me again tonight in the national pledge that we all came up through school learning and all experienced as we grew. And so I want you to share this with me tonight. Where you are, you can repeat it together with me. It's right there on the screen. All right. I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados, and to my flag, to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living, to do credit to my nation wherever I may go. And so we have made that pledge tonight to our country and to our flag. And I have repeatedly commented on the fact that that is where my loyalty lies as a citizen of Barbados. It lies with my country and it lies with my flag. I recognize our flag to be a very significant representation of the sovereignty of our country, and I treat it with that dignity. I wear it proudly when I travel, and people are always asking me about it. Wherever I go, there are persons who don't recognize it, and they will ask, what flag is that you're wearing? And it gives me an opportunity to tell them about Barbados and to share about my country. And I'm proud to be a Barbadian. I'm proud to be able to talk about Barbados because government is not Barbados. When we are critical of government, we're not critical of our country. We're critical of our representatives. And I'm using that word deliberately, representatives. But we'll come to that in just a few moments. And I'll share with you in just a few moments as well what we are going to be looking at on the show tonight. But first of all, let me take these moments to welcome all of you that are here and to try my best to identify and recognize each of you by name. Neville Clark, I begin with you. Good evening, and a pleasure to have you joining us again this evening. Jefferson Sobers, again, another pleasure to have you with us this evening as well. Monica Ince, good to hear you as well. Mavis Lashley, pleasure to have you. Good evening to you. Thank you. Yes, we're looking forward to a great show tonight, and we appreciate you encouraging the others to like and share. Also, let me welcome, this would be Charmaine. That's an interesting way to spell it. I hope I have it right. Charmaine Taylor. I have never seen it, Charmaine, spelled with the S, but that is different. So welcome again tonight to the show. Of course, Flo Joe Maloney. Flo Joe, whenever I see that name, what goes through my mind. So I won't even worry to repeat it this evening. Ronald Archer, pleasure to have you with us again this evening as well. And also Andrea Critchlow. And yes, divine greetings. Thank you. Really appreciate that so very, very, very much. And also you, Marcia Miller. Thank you for encouraging us to like and share. Bajan Boy, good evening to you too. A pleasure to have you joining us again tonight as Sherry Berry. Good night, all, and locked on, you say. Thank you. Really great to have you again with us this evening. Judy Gills, that stalwart of the loyal opposition. Judy, great to have you with us tonight, and we are looking forward to a great show. Thank you for encouraging again as well to like and share. Let me see. Sherry Johnson, 2586. Good night to you. Yes, you're in early. Yes, I did have a reasonably productive day of rest. Good night, loyal opposition, Laurie Bob. And Dr. Ferdinand Nichols, good evening to you as well. Of course, I know that's me. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm a big girl. Great to have you with us this evening as well. I'm a big girl. Good evening and greetings to you. Pleasure to have you with us this evening. V Hoy 7899. Good night to you and good night to Matthew Brown. Real pleasure to have you with us tonight as well. Mildred Ben, great to see you. And Shirley, as I mentioned a moment ago, great to see you too. Angela Burke, good night to you. I'm just going down here. Uh, let's talk about that 37. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that tonight, especially subsequent to the CFO, is she? Or the CEO of the National Cultural Foundation's comments. We'll be taking a look at that tonight as well. You can be sure of that. Angela Burke, good night to you. And Beverly Prescott, a real pleasure to have you with us this evening as well. Let me make sure I get that done. Mystic Angel 1581, and V Hoy. Yes, thank you so much. Let me come down a little bit more. Erskine Watson, when will Barbados wake up? I hope soon, Erskine. I hope soon. That is our prayer. Good evening to you, Rosemary, as well. And Shirley 4852, thank you so very much. Good evening to you as well. Today's budget, I couldn't comment. Seems like no one could. And that's okay. We're going to be looking at a few things tonight, V Hoy. Thank you. A pleasure. Thank you so very much for your kind comments there. I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados. Yes, absolutely, V Hoy. And Queen D246, good evening to you. Thank you for liking and sharing. Thank you very, very much. And also ADG 1358, good evening to you. You know, sometimes people wonder why we go through all of these names, but I believe it's important for us to at least try to recognize all of you and to let you know how much we appreciate your support of this show and your standing with our country. And yes, V Hoy is proud to see our flag flying when we are in other countries. Absolutely. It's a real pleasure when we see those things happening. Okay, coming on down. I hope I'm not missing anyone. If I missed you, please forgive me. Terry Holder, good evening. And Marva Hunt, I think I see you there. Good night to you as well. All of you. Jasper 1126. Pleasure to have you join us again tonight as well. Ian X7, there's my BMW guy. Good night to you as well, Ian. Pleasure to have all of you joining us tonight. And we would encourage you again, as several on the chat have done, to like and share. You know, go on that YouTube, hit that thumbs up button and share it on your page and to your WhatsApp groups and so on, that they can all be a part of what we are sharing here tonight. Now, tonight we're going to be covering quite a number of subjects. As you would have realized, we had a drive-by shooting, I believe that was last night. And we are going to be taking a quick look at that, with our young men losing their lives at an alarming rate, millions being spent on projects like housing with little clarity on outcomes, 800% increase in spending with no accountability. And we're asking the question tonight, what is the real plan to address crime in Barbados? Where has the Carifesta money gone? And what did the country truly gain? You know, it has to be more than talk. You have to be able to substantively provide us with results. You can't just say things. We are demanding you to give us a proper account of the expenditure for Carifesta, and we'll come to that. Major projects receiving millions of dollars in funding without clear results. Who is responsible for ensuring transparency and accountability? Where is the Auditor General? Where is the Public Accounts Committee? You know, all of these are questions. These are the elements that are supposed to be in place to monitor the government's utilization of our money. Let me be clear. Let me be clear tonight. Government does not have money coming out of their pockets. It is our money. Madam Prime Minister, Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Thorne, and the remaining 28 members, 28 representatives of Parliament, the money belongs to us, the people, and you are obligated to answer our questions as to what you have done with it, how you have used it, and what have been the outcomes, what has been provided, what has been produced as a result of the use of this money. The bulk of last year's Carifesta, 35.7 million, went to institutional expenditure, followed by payments to service providers, and a sizable chunk in accommodation, airfare, and per diem for some participants. That was Carol Roberts' statement. All right, that was what she said. So we're going to be looking at that. We're going to be examining prior public education is vital to productive consultations with Mr. Glenn Murray, and we're going to be looking forward to a great night tonight. We have a tremendous interview as well upcoming very shortly with a fine young man who made himself available to the Barbadian public at a time of great challenges within the context of our election and governance. And we are respectful of these young men and young women that made themselves available. They did not have to come forward to put their lives and their professions and everything on the line in an effort to provide an alternative government or a strong opposition in Parliament. But they were denied the opportunity to do so by the electorate of Barbados. And you are going to have to give an account one day. The people of Barbados are going to have to give an account one day for what they have done within the context of not providing a strong opposition in Parliament. All right, so that's what we are looking to be able to share with you tonight. And we're going to be taking a look as well at something that popped up to do with Bats Rock. And that caught my attention. And we're going to be engaging that tonight, as you would expect. And you know who we would be engaging that with. No one other than I would have to call him, the outstanding Victor Lewis when it comes to these matters. And we'll see his take and get his take as well on the matters to do with crime, he himself being a former police officer. So we're looking forward to a great night tonight. I'm not going to get into too many details. I observed, as we saw a few minutes ago, and there's the questions: how many airfares did the government of Barbados pay? Because I know the other countries foot the bills of their participants. Yes, that is a fact. So we need to know how much was spent where. No, you can't just come out and tell us. And even so, this is March the 23rd. This event occurred last year in August, I believe, August the 22nd to the 31st. And we are now getting some minuscule details with regards to the expenditure. Madam Carol Roberts, I am not going to make any aspirations where she's concerned. I'm simply going to share what has been shared in the media with regards to what her comments were. But she indicated, the execution of some 347 events, 42 venues, 31 countries. All of that sounds good. We're not asking for that. What we are asking for is, where did the $37.9 million go? That is what we're asking about. It's not enough to just tell us 14.1 million was spent on institutional expenditure, props, costume. How much was spent on props? How much was spent on costumes? If you are going to do a budget and you are going to give an accountability as it relates to the expenditures, you should be able to indicate, itemize. Any accountant would do that. You can't even make a claim to the Barbados Revenue Authority for your income tax without listing specific things. You can't tell them, when I use $55,000 for personal this or personal that, or for education. You have to tell them what you did, what specific things, to see if it falls into the category of exemptions or whatever it is. We are hearing $14.1 million spent on institutional expenditure, including props. How much was spent on props? How much was spent on costumes? How much was spent on electrical installation and fixtures? How much was spent on furniture? How much was spent on booths and building out the Carifesta village and the Grand Market? 10.1 million went to service providers. How much went to the song technicians and the song companies, and which song companies were engaged, and how much were they paid? How much for the lighting systems and the electrical? 5.8 million to accommodation, airfares, and per diem. We want a breakdown, ma'am, of those figures. It is not enough to come and throw out figures and say the festival was carried out in strict compliance with a mandate set out in the CARICOM host country agreement. Baloney. We are not interested in that. We are asking for a accountability and transparency as to how the $37.9 million was used. These people don't seem to get it. This government doesn't seem to get it. This government seems to think that it has no responsibility whatsoever to give an account to the people of Barbados. And again, I reminded this government that the money that you are using and allocating, even if you borrow it, it has to be paid back from the taxpayers' money. The millions of dollars you collect at the gas pumps, the money you collect in value-added tax, it has to be given an account to the people. It's not your money. And so we're asking, where did the Carifesta money go? We appreciate the fact that undoubtedly, I haven't heard too many negative responses personally, or reactions personally, that the festival was a success. That is what we're being told. She talked about, in addition, 276 technical service providers were employed with the festival, along with more than 700 independent service providers. That is not good enough. How much were they paid? Who were these service? I can throw things off in my mouth too, I can tell anybody anything at all. I don't have to be specific. We are asking to be specific because you're dealing with millions of dollars, and any accountant who has to give an account, when I have to submit accounts, audited accounts for charity or whatever, I have to be specific. I can't just say, well, we spent $40,000 on technical services. I have to break that down and provide what those technical services are. So we're going to be taking a look at all of these things tonight. We're going to be certainly examining them. And as the people of Barbados, as the citizens and the loyal opposition, we have a right to analyze these things, to analyze the budget, and to also comment. That is our constitutional privilege. Let's be clear on that. Well, having said all of that, let me move into our first segment this evening. And I want to welcome a young man who made himself available to the Barbadian public during the general election. And I want to welcome Mr. Nathaniel Boyce into the program tonight. Nathaniel, welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. It's a pleasure to have you join us tonight. You were the DLP candidate for St. Michael South, and we want certainly to hear from you this evening. I have a few questions to put to you because some people may be seeing you, when I say for the first time, not knowing who you are, would like to know something about you. And so we want to give you that opportunity to share with the people of Barbados and the loyal opposition, about Nathaniel and what drew you at this time into the general election as a candidate. Good evening and welcome.
Yes, hi, good evening, Dr. Ferdinand, and good night to the audience as well. thank you for having me on tonight. Excuse me, I was trying to do one other things before I came on. Right now, obviously, I been one of the candidates. I was actually supposed to last time around. I was actually looking to run to represent my constituency. I grew up in British Hill, Richland, British Hill. So I'm not a person who's outside of. I grew up there. I have been obviously I went to school at St. Paul's Primary, along with some other individuals from my constituency. And what prompted me at that time was that obviously I remember back in the day, obviously, and I saw the changes throughout the constituency, but fellas that I know and one, two young ladies, they're obviously their environment at the time, their opportunities were not like mine, and they obviously coming from varying backgrounds where you have persons coming from poor backgrounds where single parent homes, some of them where they didn't have the backing like how I did and pushing, and you reach a certain age in my 30s, 40s, and I remember seeing some of them spoke, and at that time, for me, having spoken to some of them, they felt too like they were left out, that nobody was really listening to them, and in the mix, normally I had individuals too who would sometimes come to the house, and my grandmother used to keep shop. So sometimes, persons may, trust something, but you saw individuals. And for me, having grown up and knowing how things are happening in the country, I said to myself, I have to listen to persons and seeing their conditions that some of them live in and laud them to the situation where they're not working. I said, well, I believe I have some ideas and a vision for the constituency that I can share, and I believe I can do a better job, than the person who's president. And for me, this time, obviously getting in it, this time around, throwing my hat in the ring, I've seen persons as I move around, persons that felt unheard, overlooked, disconnected from the leadership, and sometimes if you say enough is enough, and it's a big jump, because you put a lot of things on hold, and even you put your family, they're not first, they become second. And anybody would tell you having a family who have ran, who was a candidate or who would have ran before, that they're going to back burn, because the community now becomes your family, and your emphasis and your support normally goes towards them. So there was a need for me for change and a different vision obviously going forward with those individuals where obviously I believe the needs are the opportunity, the guidance and support, where an outlet where an ordinary man can strive comfortably.
Well, that's, I think it's very important for us to acknowledge your sacrifice. And you're so right, in so many areas you do sacrifice your family, all of us in different areas of profession. I myself, based on what my ministry was, I sacrifice a lot with my family, trying to make amends for that today, in this day and age. But, you were talking about your constituency, and I, listening to you, engaging the people and hearing what their needs are. What would you say are some of their main struggles, and what are you hearing from them on a daily basis with regards to things like the cost of living? Now, of course, definitely safety, and opportunity to advance themselves, and particularly our young people to advance themselves.
Well, the people in my constituency, they're proud, hardworking class families, single parents, young men and women, some of them trying to find their way. Obviously, things that when I was young, things have changed. Persons trying to handle a small business. I mean, even like I would give an example. Nowadays, I believe persons on the show listening, they see persons something popping up in front of the house, or
Yes.
trying to, that signals to you that all is not well.
Mhm.
And obviously you have those persons too who have been neglected, and those persons too, the elderly persons who help build out our communities, those are the persons too who are in our communities as well, that some of them too have been neglected. Now, the struggles of cost of living are real, where transportation, I have individuals who sometimes call me for a little bus fare, and obviously you're operating on a government salary, and you're trying not to let your wife know also that you're putting a little something in your pocket to give somebody food. Although I'm not in that position to give as I would like to, those I try to help, and I always got to caution persons that, well, I could do a little something for you, and I can't do it so all the time. So somebody else will be able to assist. The medical bills for individuals, the rent, the basic bills. These are real life situations. Even when the election has passed, I remember one, two individuals that wore red shirts. They've been calling you, asking you for support, and you say them, you ask them first to be fair to the next person. If they've been and you ask, the responses are very negative. So they said that's why they reached out to me. So I got to remind them that I will try what I can do for you, but there's only so much. We have youth at risk too, the lack of opportunities. They feel disconnected, and that's where you find what's happening in society now. The influence by the wrong direction by other persons too, trying to use these young people too. And that's the question of the matter there. So because as a teacher, you can see from a small age the environments, the backgrounds some of the children are coming out of. You can only help so much, because when they leave us at the primary level, they go to secondary, it's a different mix, and sometimes if they don't have the strong, guidance and mentorship going forward, or somebody to jump in there and say, listen, you got to, like, for instance, a child might not be academic, but they may be more obviously towards sports, and a teacher might say, listen, you got an opportunity here. I want you to stick with it, and I want you to be more involved, have them in a program or in a club or so to help them. You have the crime and safety concerns in my constituency, which are real. The limited jobs and the income opportunities are happening. The housing and living. If you probably had to take a walk with me through the constituency, you will believe that a lot of persons who were hoping to get assistance, and because of certain reasons, some of them were, they were not even looked at, or some that were there.
Wow.
Yeah, the pretense were that I'm going to help you because I might have highlighted a situation in the public domain, and the person will come and say something, but this book almost 3 years, nothing still, or even longer. So
Wow.
these are really things that are happening in the constituency, and only when persons like myself get up and say stuff and say to the public, because people are not on the ground like myself and some of the other candidates too as well that ran the last election, and we can tell you firsthand what is happening, in our constituencies where there's a lot of neglect.
I'm glad you talked about the aspects of crime and the risk of when it comes to our youth. But would you say that communities like yours, in the area that you and I'm almost tempted to say represent, in the area where you are, are they becoming more vulnerable to gun violence? And what practically, Nathaniel, can we do to try and steer our young people away from that kind of pathway? What are some of the things that we can initiate that will help our young people? It just seems that there are lost without a vision, without a hope.
Well, I would say first thing, idle time equals risk time. And yes, my constituency, I remember at one point too, was a young widow, Brendan Sill was always labeled as, bad boy town, sorry, which is, you got any place you go, fight, even the heights and terraces, they have some fellows who would indulge in certain activities. And even last year, we had a situation where we had, remember, 2 shootings. One was a taxi driver, and he was lucky that I think the young fellow went to rob him. And the other situation was in Bayland, where individual that I knew the acquaintance, he was killed, and it was made to understand over a chain. And obviously, Yeah. So it's in my constituency as well, and not enough is being done. It's actually you see across the board where it just seems we must go along and take it as is. But you have where you can occupy. You have to occupy the time of these young people. Mentorship. They're not all bad. Some you can save. I tell you the truth. Some already have decided this is the life that I want to go, and that's it. You have to give them a way to earn money. Some young people are trying to do their best. I got a friend there, so young fella. He started his own little business. And what he's doing, he's trying to employ one to other fellas in the community because we were hoping once it was successful. Me and some other guys too. We were going to look at that part with entrepreneurship in terms of hiring those individuals in the community and training them too, because you have to find a way to make them earn money and equip them with skills too as well. Early intervention that happens if it can happen at the schools, primary schools, where we can see those children who are already, who are exhibiting certain traits, and if we can pull them in and work with the home, the family, because although a parent may be involved in certain things, they don't want that life for their child. And some of them you just have to talk and get in there to assist. We need to support the home environment, and we need to build more trust too in this community too with the police, because the police, when things happen, first thing you call is.
Sorry, I'm just checking to make sure that I'm still hearing you.
Yes, I'm still
Yeah,
here.
okay, great, right, okay. The first thing that happens, they do call the police, regardless of what persons might think and how they might view the police department. They will still call the police for assistance and for protection. But it is
Correct.
very concerning, Nathaniel. I have driven around the country, and I drive, not that I go out deliberately doing so, but in my driving, I see so many of our young people on the side of the street, weeding grass, cutting grass, and so on. And I don't know. I have this gut feeling that that's not really what they want to do.
I,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I said, I mean, maybe we had a situation with the volcanic ash, and obviously the then it maintained from the volcanic ash. Some of those individuals, they were then held on to be the rules. No, I understand a lot of them don't have qualifications. Children who just left school, I meet them, they don't have qualifications, and they want something to do. All of them is bad. Yes, they may do the low, whatever, but they want to be able to help themselves. But I found that you had where a minister was bragging that you have double in terms of persons who are dependent on that social net. Very well, I don't think you want person to have dependent on you as a government. You want to put them in a situation where they can help themselves. And those, for me, yes, some individuals may like to do the little because I had a program similar initially when this a few years ago but what I was trying to do is that to empower these fellas where you need to put something aside for the little small business in terms of the machinery, and the rest is there on by trying to encourage to save. Now everybody doesn't want that. Some people may want to learn a skill. We have a lot of nowadays. Now we're going into a different realm with AI and different, and a lot of persons are tech savvy. Some persons are very good with these hands, fixing items. But just allowing them to go and do some work for a little 3 hour, and there's no social net too, because the NS stuff is being taken up. So you got guys working for the next probably 15, 20 years just being the low side of the road. When they get a certain age now and sickness and everything, and they can't do that, what happens? And that is something too where we need real jobs for our young people, real jobs, and encourage them to save, save their money, because when you speak to some of these individuals, they tell you they're just working for a paycheck, or even sometimes before the month gone, the money gone as well. But it's not a job for them because you want them working, but I believe we can do more, we can do more for them. Yeah.
I wonder if government has ever considered setting up programs to teach our young people investment. It's something that's not engaged in our schools at all. Neither is entrepreneurship. They don't talk about it. And I believe, years ago, we used to have, you remember when they used to teach us how to run a supermarket and how to set up a shop. And we used to bring in all the cans of, the empty cans. And you remember that? And I don't know if that's still done in our primary school levels, but we were taught a lot of business at that level.
Yes, so I can add to that and say a little bit in terms of maybe teaching mathematics and be doing like our low basic shopping. So yes, I can't speak for all, but I do know some teachers still do bring the cartoons and they put on the little labels, the cost and stuff. Right, they still do that. I must a little correction there. There is something happening where there is a part they take the agencies, government agencies, where actually a teacher, I know she's actually with there now, and they're doing a little financial literacy. But I didn't stay in for the whole because I don't have a class. I normally I teach science at this moment. Right? So I see that there's still a little interjection there at the primary level. But at my school, I can't speak for others. I don't know if it's across the board, right? But I think it could be
it could be expanded.
Expanded, and improve on too as well. Yeah, because you said it's really needed among our young people.
And it's a great place, I mean, people sit down and look at wealthy people and think that the wealth drop out the sky, but most of them have simply learned to invest, not to spend their money just buying, what they call them, brand name shoes and brand name shirts and all of that, but we have to try and guide them in that type of a direction. You as a teacher would know certainly about that aspect. Now, let me quickly, because I know we have limited time with you this evening. I know you have to go off again, but very quickly, before you go, we've heard a lot about the aspects of Carifesta. As you know, it's occupied the media for the last several days, as the budget has as well. And I wonder, when citizens hear about the tens of millions of dollars that have been spent on events like Carifesta and communities are struggling, do you think that perceptions or realities of neglect is contributing to the young people turning to a life of crime?
Yeah. You see, if some things like that happening, and even sometimes people think that because a person went to high school or maybe college, university, that they don't have that type of understanding. Now, you have a community where these persons are struggling in their household, the house won't fall down, and you put it on. I mean, you got to blame the persons too, because they encourage it by attending these events. And you have an event, and you have bringing people from overseas who paying them over millions of dollars. You're going to all these the big party vibes, the drinks and all that there. So, and you would rather go and party. I know sometimes people do party because of the situation to get their mind away from what's happening. But you're encouraging the government to give you these things as opposed to give you what you really, really need. Okay, some people want certain things, and government can give them what they want to just for low. It's just a low, soft little feeling that you get at that time, and then it wears off. But you have persons, you spend that sort of money. You like, for instance, you have from $4 million to going to 31.7, and you have millions of dollars. I mean, like you said initially, I would like to see the breakdown for that. I think we as Barbadians, we need. This is not something you can just like disappear or just ease out of it. Just let them get rid of that. It's something that they need to, because you've given them three elections and you've given them money, and up to now the transparency, the accountability, it is not there.
Are not forthcoming.
It's not there.
Forthcoming.
And for me, as a person who in a situation where my house falling, however, I go into my representative for help, and I could see they ain't helping me, they're helping somebody else that ain't really needing help, and at some point in time, you just shut off. And I can understand why some persons too just deciding, man, I ain't voting, because you see anything happen again. Yeah.
Well, Nathaniel, I know your time is fleeting from us very quickly, and I know that you have, from my understanding, a lot of knowledge or association with Dave Thorne, Ralph Thorne's brother. And I want to give you this opportunity not only to convey condolences, publicly in terms of his loss to the family, but to share with us some of your experience with Dave as well.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. I would have reached out to Ralph Thorne, and would offer my condolences to him at this time. It was really a deep, cut when you heard that. I would have met Dave when he came to the party. Obviously, he came to the party with his brother, and like any brother, you're coming to help where you can. And he didn't just help. The truth is, I know he did help his brother, but myself as a candidate and the other candidates, even the party, that Dave was the sort of person, the handyman, the go-to man. I remember even with the campaign and stuff, Dave, he would go and bring me stuff. People used to laugh at Dave because he had an old truck. But he had a reason he had the old truck, and he built everything on that truck, the stage, the generators, whatever. And he would bring them. He's a man who probably come, he came himself and set up for you. You understand me?
Wow.
Yeah, not charging else. He just came. You call him, and he will be there. And I believe any candidates, and the party can tell you. To me, he probably even did a lot more than persons who were along the party for a while. He was honestly say that, because he started input. I saw Dave helping the party and other persons in the party. He was a person he could go, he would sit up on the sidewalk and talk to a guy there smoking or whatever, comfortable, make a form of conversation, ask about things that happen in the society, how things going with them. And when I heard the morning I heard about when somebody put it inside the chat, it was devastating. That I spoke to him 2 weeks before that happened at General Council. He told me he's going to pass with me for some things, and I tell him no problem. And I know it probably is a cut with his brother too, Ralph, because he has been there supporting him. He has been supporting myself. I remember we had a road race. I think it was being shown where I remember he was there. He had on a pair of old shoes, hard shoes. I think hard shoes. And we did a 100. Yeah, the Elmer Grant race. And Dave told me he ran in. And he asked me there. So, and I remember coming up my back, I saw then Dave there. So, and he put his hands there. So, he was always involved in helping out or being part of whatever. Yes, that's the sort of person that he was. So, it's a very sad day for us, and a sad something to a loss to the party too as well, where he's not with us anymore. And I would like to offer condolences to his family, all his friends, all the party members too, who are going to miss him. And we hope that the family will get through this, as time goes on.
Well, Nathaniel, I want to thank you so very much for taking the time to be with us tonight. I can empathize with you in the sense that my mother was a teacher as well.
Okay.
She was a principal actually at Boscobel and also at St. Luke's Girls' School. Okay. I was dragged along as the last child, so to speak. She kept me with her. I didn't get to attend other primary schools like my brother and sister did. Wherever she was principal, I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to be there. I probably got the majority of licks of all the children.
Nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that.
No, I can tell you absolutely, Nathaniel, it has really helped to form me into the man that I am today. I do not regret it at all. But the only thing I will say is that she had a strap, a leather strap called the Mercedes. And I believe it is my experience with that has driven me to embrace BMW more than Mercedes-Benz.
Okay,
But before you go, what kind of advice would you, give to, if you had the opportunity to give advice to the government in terms of where we are at the moment as a country? And I want to give you the last few minutes you have with us. And of course, I put those few minutes in your hands because you have to know what your schedule is. But if you were given the opportunity to advise the government within the context of all that we have heard, with regards to your experience with your constituencies and so on, what would you say to them at this time?
Well, for me, living in the constituency for over 44 years, and obviously seeing different governments coming into play at some point in time. The persons who in our constituencies who I think the government really needs to help. The situation for our young people too as well is a serious challenge. Obviously, certain as I can't say I won't stay on your show that encounter or what's not, but we have to make sure that we are able to, especially our young ladies too, because the young ladies nowadays too, they before our boys, but the young ladies now are taking on a different, we're on them where, they're exposed to other things. And we need to have some social programs, more social programs for our young people to be involved in. Real activities, not put on an event and say you put on an event as the MP and, persons come through and say, no, we need to find out what's happening. A lot of them, they're going through a lot. They have a lot of problems. That's the truth. And we, as a government, I believe you need to that's where it needs to start first. Our young people. You keep hearing it, but you're not seeing it happening with them. Obviously, through the situation where we have persons, their living conditions, the governments need to think. Don't spend the money on the parties and all that. They're so spend it on the people,
Yes.
And
Yes.
and the accountability that they said that they were going to do this. They have no excuse. You want to see the transparency and you want to see the accountability from you as our government. You have the full range. Do what you said you're going to do.
Well, Nathaniel, I want to really thank you for taking the time to be with us and sharing from your heart, really, with not only regards to your own involvement, but that of the constituents that you ran in. And, the thing that I leave with and I close this segment with is the aspect that our members of parliament are supposed to be representatives and not leaders. And I hope people understand the difference when I say it. It's not that we don't expect them to have leadership ability, but when you run in an election, when the returning officer comes out of that polling station, he does not announce a leader. He says representative. And we expect that when you go into the House of Assembly, regardless of who forms the government, you are there to represent the people. And you should be holding the government's feet to the fire, questioning them, analyzing them, and not just playing games, like we watched during the estimates. I didn't pay any attention to the estimates because I reckon nobody was going to ask the tough questions of anybody there. And I just want to remind the persons in Parliament that you are first and foremost the representative of the people. And as a result of that, you should be challenging the government, if not forcing them, to look after the needs of the people in your constituency. And I would hope, that after the election, Nathaniel, that I would like to see a shift in the relationship between the person who won and the person who lost in the interests of the constituency and the people. I believe the time has come for that.
Yeah. When you be DC, whoever, you represent everybody.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thanks so very much. I know Marcia did let me know that you had to jump off at a specific time because you have other things to attend to, and I believe as a teacher you definitely would.
Yes.
So thank you so much. We do appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Thank you for sharing concerning yourself and the constituency. And anytime, you can always be in touch with Marcia. We'd be more than happy to have you on as we have other things to address as the time goes by. So God bless you, and thank you again for being here with us on the Marcia Weekes Show.
And thank you too for having me too as well.
It has been our pleasure. Believe you me, I have enjoyed listening to you and learning about the constituency and hearing about the things that they're facing there. And God willing, even though we are out of not in government, we'll be able to do something to assist them.
Correct.
Have a great night, and God bless you, and thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you, and thank you, everybody. Do have a good night.
Praise God. Thank you, sir. Well, there you have it. One of the young men that we pray will continue to work in his constituency. to represent the people. And it's so important that all of the candidates that ran may not have been successful, but continue to work, continue to interact, continue to meet with the people, and let them see the seriousness of your intention to represent them, not just when it's an election, but even thereafter. And we really appreciate all of these young men and young women. And they are young in the sense of some of the older ones, such as others. I wouldn't say myself, but some of the others that would have run before. And we really appreciate them taking the time and the interest to represent the people of our nation in the manner that they have. So God bless you, Nathaniel, as you continue your work in St. Michael South. Well, we move to the next segment of our program tonight. We have joining us the I'm going to say famous because I'm not sure, Victor, if infamous is the right statement, but famous Victor Lewis.
Yes, sir.
Victor, it's a real pleasure to have you with us tonight.
Yeah,
I
man.
understand you have some interesting things to share with us concerning
Mm-hmm.
another area of our beachland here in Barbados that I did see a couple of videos pop up on social media, and I wasn't even aware that they had restarted the Paradise project, the project at Paradise. But I understand you have some things to share with us tonight with regards to that and anything else. I mean, in the context, for example, of crime, you are a former police officer. I'm sure that you have engaged your own experiences of crime and maybe have some words of advice and counsel that can be granted to this government if they would only listen. That would be the next step. So welcome, Victor. A real pleasure to have you with us again tonight, sir.
Well, thank you very much, and I want to extend my deepest condolences to Mr. Thorne on the passing of his brother. It's a very tragic thing, when we lose a family member, especially one that was so close, so my deepest condolences extended to him. There are many things that I have to share relative to what we saw as a people, occurring on Bats Rock. I would have first seen that video, presented us there by the dunksman. And then the dunksman came back and he gave some kind of perceivably justifiable reason why the intended fencing is to be installed in the area that I mentioned, but I have my concerns, as the Bajans would normally say, I smell a rat.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to discuss, with the people of Barbados, my concerns with respect to the erection of that fencing in the designated location. Now, I do appreciate that if construction is going on there, that you will need a fence with the view of security, one, and with the view that you don't harm any member of the public. That's appreciated. But if we look at the vast area of Bats Rock, one needs to dig a little deeper to understand clearly what is going on there. And this is my perspective, I am very much open, to correction. So I sent 2 videos to Dave. I want Dave to play the first video for me so that folks can take a clear view as to what's going on in Bats Rock. So now, when we look at this stretch, don't start the video yet. Now you see that tree way ahead of the fencing poles there.
Yes,
Dr. Ferdinand?
yes, I do,
Now,
sir.
There's only about 2 feet. There's only about 2 feet between that last fencing pole and that tree trunk.
Yeah,
Yes.
You can't pass there.
Now, to me, that is total disrespect. I would like to think that if one would seek to be erecting a fence in there with a view that is going to be temporary, and also with a view that, you want to protect the public, but at the same time, you must respect the fact that people use this area and has been using this area now for donkey years to access the beach. So how what kind of respect one could have as a contractor or otherwise to go and erect a fencing so close. Now, I saw another video where I think this lady said this is the first time she's visiting Barbados, and she's very concerned about, you know, the attitude of developers in Barbados now with respect to access to the beach. So I really do have my serious reservation. Yes, play that video there. Play that video. You know, because just the first visit to Barbados, and she expresses this concern. I know that I want for us Bajans to dig deep with respect to this one. Go ahead and play the video, Dave.
My name's Mindy. I'm from New York, and this is my first time in Barbados. I have to say, this is kind of sad that we're taking up all the beaches here. Where's everyone gonna go? So I said to my friend who's from Barbados, how come nobody's sitting on the beach? And it's because there's hardly any beach left. Pretty sad.
This is your first time visiting this beach?
Yeah, but I want you all to be able to preserve your islands.
But let me ask you a question, Victor. On the basis of the first video, the first picture you showed, yes, that one.
Yeah.
There is a clear line where the vegetation ends and the sand begins. Very, very clear line there. Wouldn't these developers need to have had some form of governmental permission to erect that fence all the way to the point where it currently is, or have they gone ahead and done that without notifying the
it appears to me that 30-0 3 times suggests that you can come into this country and do what you feel like, because this is exactly what I'm seeing here. Nobody seems to have no kind of respect for the I would want to say the locals, because the lady there just now being a visitor to the country, she's concerned that here I am visiting Barbados for the first time. I want to come to Batswap, relax and enjoy the beach, and I'm turning up on Batswap and seeing a whole lot of fencing posters in front of me. You know, and of course her friend there, the Bajan, would have given her a background as to what transpired. But that concerned me. The minute that I came there, I went there today. And the minute that I came there and I saw the proximity of that tree trunk to that pole, it says to me that when there's high tide, you see the grape tree a little further down?
Yes,
that's
sir.
Where the sea is coming. So how are you going to pass there? That is total disrespect for us. Play the video, you know, because.
But I mean, Victor.
I want you. Wait, hold a bit, Dave. I'm going to ask Dave to just stall it, because this is a situation where we must think. Go ahead.
But that's almost 2/3 of the beach taken up with that fence.
Yes.
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you just to stall the video.
Look at that.
No, stall it right there. Stall it right there. Stall it. Right. You see that path through there?
That's where the green plants are.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Could you see a kind of straight line through there?
Yes. Yeah, kind of straight line through there.
What do you think that's for? Play the video some more, because you would get a hint. Start the video again, I think. Start the video. You must know by now, Dr. Ferdinand. Hold it there. If you can just reverse the video, because Dr. Ferdinand, like he ain't thinking, man. Come on, Dr. Ferdinand, wake up, man. Wake up. Just carry back the video thing.
Yeah, you carry it back. Let me view that again.
Do you see that wall?
Yes, I do.
That wall was erected by the previous contractors.
Okay.
Accepted? What's the intention of that wall?
Keep you out.
That intention of the wall is to keep us out from the compound. Correct?
Yeah.
Continue the video. I'll just pull it back a bit. Just pull it back. No, pull it back. Pull it back. Yes, go back some more. Keep going back. Right. You see that path through there?
Well, looks like it would go on down there.
Continues now across that stretch. That was the plan. That was the plan of the previous contractor who owned this lot. So if you saw the fortress that we just saw there, that's the wall that is intended to block us out. I mean, privacy is privacy, and one respects that. If that is your property and that's your privacy, and then the wall goes up, that's nice. I don't have a difficulty with that. I commend that. That's beautiful. I don't have a difficulty. So that stretch there is where that wall by the previous contractor is intended to go. Continue to play the video.
Now that kind of pathway that we're seeing there, that was what the public would have used.
Well, I bet we're gonna get to that now. Hold tight, Ferdinand, man.
Okay.
Play the video. We must think. So that's the wall that was erected before. I don't believe that they're gonna take that wall down, because that wall is a demarcation technically property. Hold it right there, right? Hold it, right? So that's the path that is being used currently by those. But I would like to assume that they're tourists. I would like to think so, that those are tourists now using the area and they're walking across that area. Now, if you look there where those guys are walking, right? If you look where those guys are walking, that's the path that we use to drive to go to Clearwater Beach. But you entered from Bass Rock. So if you look there to the left.
I remember that.
Yes, look to the left of those guys, to the left.
Yes.
You see the tree, and then to the left.
And then to the left of that, there's
we're gonna establish a few things. Because I'm saying to Mr. Dunksman, this whole concept about being temporary, that's a slap in the face. That's a trick in the bag. You hear lie? That is lie. Continue to play the video. Right. So hold it there. Hold the video.
Take it back a little bit there so we can see the end of that wall.
Right. Let's go back.
No, not that. That's too far back. Go forward.
Yeah, forward a little more.
Keep going. Stop.
Right, hold it right there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the wall that we showed before. And that's the path there where that wall will continue. Right? If the erection of a wall on the perimeter of the property, the wall continues there because we're dealing with a plot of land. So I don't think now that with the change of use of ownership, that the actual design in terms of the periphery of the land will change. So continue the video, and you're going to hold in a few half-seconds, a few milliseconds. Continue the video. Hold it. Yeah, give it a little more. Yeah, hold it right there. You see that path, Dr. Ferdinand?
Yes.
That is a path that Barbadians currently use in order to go to Clearwater Beach. They enter up there from by the gas station. And you need a 4x4. Practically speaking, you need 4x4. All right? If you're not 4x4, maybe at sometimes, but you take your time and you're coming down through there. Now, if we look to the left, that's the wall. To the left, you see the wall?
Yes.
Right. So when vehicles drive in this area, whose property are they driving on?
That would be the property of the hotel, would it not be?
Precisely. Oh, but
Victor, if you went back to where the end of the wall is shown, I am seeing the poles go out from that wall
across the path that we used to use.
Yes.
But this path has been established for a reason, but we can get to that reason a little later.
Okay.
We're going to get to that reason. So this is the path that comes down that people currently use. Now, this path, when the fencing is set up, will be restricted. So no one can go up by the gas station anymore and drive down here and expect to access Clearwater Beach. So Clearwater Beach now is only accessible by Barbadians when they venture across this path to go to Clearwater Beach. They cannot They cannot access Clearwater Beach by a motor vehicle coming through Bats Rock. And we'll get to that in a minute. So I can't agree with the dunks, man. It's only temporary. The leader of this country, the Prime Minister of Barbados, seeks to trick Bajans again. They sought to trick us before, but their project shut down. But they're seeking to trick us again. Continue to play the video.
But Victor, wasn't the Prime Minister at the time the legal representative for the government, it was, or something like that, with this previous project?
Well, you know, that is a little deep down, and that's for another discussion. You know,
Okay.
because I know you waste a lot of money during EduTech, and we waste a lot of money during Carifesta, but that's another discussion, right? So we get to that discussion and continue to play the video, and we can see this path. This is the path where you come down from up there by the gas station, and you drive down this hill,
Yes.
right? And then you drive across, and that's where you go. I'll hold the video right there. Hold the video there.
That's the other
Right.
side of the wall.
So you see now, yeah, that's the wall now coming from the area above where you had a greater completion of the project. That's where the
Yes.
buildings and everything was. I get to that in a minute. But you see those two paths there? The one to the right is the path that we used to drive when we're coming from Bats Rock. This path now to the left is a path established by people who want to access Clearwater Beach by a motor vehicle. And that's our right as a people, to be able to freely access our beaches. So that is what we had to do in order to access Clearwater Beach, by driving from up by the gas station, coming across the private land, up and down through a few potholes to end up here. You stay on the left, and that takes you over to Clearwater Beach. Over to the right is where we used to go before. Now you see the fencing poles? You see
Yeah,
that fencing pole too?
I'm looking at the fencing poles.
That fencing poles restricts everybody. Everybody. Now we will get to Bats Rock area relative to the path on the right. But I want to deal with the path on the left. The path on the left is really where we decide to capitalize on an opportunity. And that opportunity was granted us when that project at Paradise shut down. So people find a way across the hill, down the path, and they will be able now to drive over to Clearwater Beach. So I'll continue the video. We'll go over to Clearwater Beach.
But you know, Paradise was one of my accounts, Victor, and I remember we used to turn down to the hill to go to the hotel, and you had to turn right into the hotel. If you kept straight, you kept straight to the beach. Is that still accessible?
In terms of Paradise?
Yes.
No. You see, because if you're coming out from up by the
by the highway,
by the fish market side,
by
the fish market, you see, because that's the only other path up there when you come from by the fish market, you know.
Oh boy,
what you call that? Can't remember the name of the fish market offhand, but that is one way you come in there by the fish market, and then you got to walk and come down this side, right? You can't drive in there. If you're going into Paradise, you must come into Paradise, the Paradise property, in order to further access Clearwater Beach. You must come to the property.
Oh, you never had to do that before. You could drive down there, because there were houses down in there as well. There were homes on the left and on the right. We used to go down, turn into the hotel. I remember that very well. But if you kept straight, you could access the beach. And I know a lot of people used to do that.
Right. But that's not the case anymore. That's why you find people now are using that route. All right. So continue the video. All right. So there we are now. So we in front now. These are where the buildings are. Hold the video right there. Just take the video back a little. Take the video back. Go back just to where we get the buildings. Yeah, a little more. Beautiful.
Okay.
So that's the buildings there. Now, let's look at this property, Dr. Ferdinand. Folks occupying this property, what beach you think they'll go to? You think they'll come up to Bathsheba? You think they'll come to Bashi?
No, I think they're going to go across the pathway if they can
Across
get
the
across the
pathway.
pathway.
Across the pathway. So right in front of their property is Clearwater Beach. Accepted? By vehicle. By vehicle. Tell me how a Bajan will be able to access Clearwater Beach without fencing up, temporary or otherwise, because the current practice is that we are driving across the property of the owner in order to access Clearwater Beach. So the minute those fencing goes up, access to Clearwater Beach by vehicle, that has come to an end.
So what they're saying is that the wall does not necessarily indicate the limit of their property.
Well, we're going a little deeper than that. Dr. Thorne, and you will understand the depth in a minute. Play the video there a little more. Because we got to remember now that we came out of a plantocracy and we have now moved into tourism. So we've got to watch what's going on. Hold the video right there. Look at that view. Hold the video there, Mr. Weekes. You see that view? You know, that's first class. You can't see a wave breaking. It's nice and calm. That's what you call a semi-west coast, where there's no waves. So this beach, Clearwater Beach, only now becomes accessible by the owners of that property. So no longer can any Bajan drive to Clearwater Beach. The only way you can drive to Clearwater Beach is if you are if you staying at the hotels down there, if there will be hotel there, or if you in any way patronize it. And I don't know how far that patriotism will go with respect to giving you permission to drive in there and drive down to Clearwater Beach. So that technically speaking is what we call a deceptive way of privatization of a beach in Barbados. And we will get to that in a minute. So this Clearwater Beach is not intended for Bajans. That is intended for the owners of that property. So that fencing is just the beginning. It is just the beginning of erections that will prevent us from being able to drive to Clearwater Beach. And don't tell me that, you know, in our right old age, you know, Dr. Ferdinand, that we must go and park up by Bats Rock. And you must get a little bath there, right? Other than that, you will have to walk from up by Bats Rock, car park, and don't talk about car park up there, cut up there's a bare mud hole as far as I'm concerned, you know? So if you're thinking about bathing at Clearwater Beach, you're either gonna go by the fish market park and walk down, or you're gonna park by Bats Rock and walk down. And it's a long walk to Clearwater Beach. But understand, people who own the property that is opposite to this beach, they have exclusive rights. Exclusive rights. And know what I'm saying? Exclusive rights, because it's exclusive to the sense that they have permission to drive there. They will drive to that beach, and Bajans no longer will be able to drive to Clearwater Beach. And I want to say that it is my right, it is your right, it is the right of all the loyal opposition watching this show. It is our right to be able to drive to Clearwater Beach. You can't drive to every beach. Appreciate it. I don't have a difficulty with that. But as we know it as a country, we have a vested right to be able to drive to any beach in Barbados, sit down, relax, take out our picnic basket with our families and relax. So this is what we've been doing now for all the years. We've been driving to that beach. And now we don't longer have the opportunity to do that. But I want Dave now to play the second video, because I'm going to show you why now. Play the second video there, Dave. You know, and we have to be concerned, you know, Dr. Ferdinand. Yes, hold the video there, hold it there. Hold it there, hold it there. You can see a chain there, Dr. Ferdinand.
Yes, I
Because
can.
it's
Now, which side is this up by Bats Rock?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
bathroom there to the left. So just start the video there from the beginning and just pull it back. You see the building there to the right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's the
the bathroom area
bathrooms,
there.
public
Right.
bathrooms.
And you see the poles there? You see, hold it, don't go and carry the video anymore. Hold it right there. Go back to the chain. Go back to the chain.
Now,
You
is
see
that to
chain?
prohibit? Is that to prohibit access?
Listen, Dr. Ferdinand. We gotta wake up the people. We must wake up. You know, I'm not just gonna sit back and see these things happening and just say it is temporary, because this started long time ago. The NCC placed this chain right here, claiming that we should not be driving and encroaching with our vehicles close to the beach area, meaning where the tables, etc. are. I don't have a difficulty with that. That's fine, because we are preserving what we invest in. Those are our beaches. We invest in them, so we preserve them. I don't have a difficulty with that. But the NCC put up that chain, so you can't go in there. You can't drive no further than there with your vehicle. And that is the path, Dr. Ferdinand, that we used to use in order to access Clearwater Beach. So who did it?
But not the developers.
We
Not the developers.
Barbadians did that to ourselves. We allowed NCC via Town and Country Planning. I am only speculating, to put that chain across there to block us out so that no vehicles can go down there and park. But that chain was not there for that only. That chain was to block us from driving to Clearwater Beach, because the intended plan was that Clearwater Beach would have been had exclusive access to the owners of the property for the original contractors, for the original developers. The plan was that when you come to Bats Rock, you cannot drive no further than right there. And that had nothing to do, technically speaking, with vehicles encroaching on the beach area. No, that was to stop us from accessing Clearwater Beach. Continue the video. Look at the boulders. Who placed those boulders there? We placed those boulders there. Continue the video, Dave. Continue the video. See those boulders? Those boulders, continue a little more. Right, hold it right there. No unauthorized vehicle beyond this point. You know what that's saying to us, Dr. Ferdinand? That said to the people of Barbados, you will not be allowed to drive through here to access Clearwater Beach. What Barbadians did, Barbadians went on top of the hill by the gas station and drive across the top. That is what we had to do as a people when we owned that beach as a people. And that is what the NCC did. And we sat down and allowed it. So that erection of the current fencing now is not, it is not with the view of security for the people traversing the area, but the intended plan. That is why you saw the distance. You see the distance?
Yes, I did.
You saw the distance, but that distance blocked out 2 roads. So I want to say to the people of Barbados, you see that sign there? That sign must come down. That chain that is there must be moved. Because we as a people, we have a right to be able to access Clearwater Beach by vehicle. And the erection of that fence is not to prevent us from having access temporary. No, that's not true. Go down to Sandy Lane. Go to Sandy Lane. Tell me, Dr. Ferdinand, can you drive to Sandy Lane Beach?
No, sir.
No. Watch videos on the beach by Sandy Lane. I saw the video. I saw it already. If you're on the water, if you're on the water in front of Sandy Lane, to the left is a wall. You know what's to the right? What's to the right, Dr.
Is
Ferdinand?
that the
If you're out in a boat and you're looking in at Sandy Lane,
Oh, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I won't be able to tell you that because I don't go out on boats.
But Dr. Ferdinand, you just saw the video there, man. I put you at the front of the class, you know. You at the front of the class.
Which video are you referring to?
There's a video I saw on Facebook.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
Right. Yeah, you haven't seen it, you know,
No,
but
sir.
I know you're a person, Dr. Fred. I know you.
I know going down Sandy Lane there is
but you just saw I just gave you a beautiful hint. You know, why is it that we can't drive through Batswap and drive to Clearwater Beach? What prevents us from doing that? Is it the same?
No, I think it would
So
be those boulders and the chain.
Ah, wake up, Dr. Ferdinand, man. So to the left, when you are on the water in front of Sandy Lane, to the left is a wall, to the right is boulders.
Okay, I haven't seen those.
And you right, they are
I
there.
haven't seen those.
And the reason why that was done, they have in actual fact prevented access to people by design. And the design concept here is that yes, we have free beaches. All beaches are public. But how can we access the beach at Sandy Lane? We could only come in by surfboard or by kayak or by boat. You can't drive.
You can't climb over the rocks.
Well, you can climb over the rocks, but you know, because I've done what the players these days, you know, you know, they were, if you're a white man, you're safe, but if you're a black man, I think, you know, it might not be in your best interest, right? So understand clearly, Dr. Ferdinand, that Sandy Lane Beach is like that because of design. Just bear that in mind. That is the intention for the Batswap project. And the Batswap project, again, by design, is what they want to use in order to prevent us from having vehicular access to Clearwater Beach.
Well, Victor, I was hoping we would have had a little time to touch on the matter of crime with you and whatnot, but our time is gone. But I want to really thank you for bringing this to our attention. I mean, I wasn't aware of it until I saw the Mr. Dunksman video. And I do know what you're talking about in terms of the accessibility. I've driven on that road on more than one occasion in the past. And even going down to Paradise, I've driven on those roads, you know, in the past. I didn't realize that it had become that prohibitive.
When you restrict the rights of people, when you restrict people from having this freedom of access to areas where we socialize and relax, then the crime rate will go up. I heard one of my comrades, the PR and for the police force, you know, he echoed his great concerns with the incident there at Cambridge. And don't let me bring the Cambridge force, the Josephines, you know, that had nothing to do with Josephines at all. So don't bring that upon us, Dr. Ferdinand. But understand clearly, right, that we have to thrive as a people. And if we saw what transpired when certain individual was given permission to walk the annals of the parliament, you know, that wasn't because of the academic achievement of that individual. That was for other reasons. Other accolades were paid to him. So people now are aspiring to become criminals, because when you become a criminal, you get a chance to walk the halls of
hallowed halls of power.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
So that's a contributing factor, but we can get back to that in time.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Victor, thanks a lot for bringing this to our attention. Really, you know, I wasn't aware of it. You know, I haven't been down that side for a while, to be honest. I was quite shocked when I saw the video with Dunksman, and now that you have made it even clearer,
by design,
I'm still puzzled as to seeing the position of the wall and seeing the position of the vegetation line on the sand, why it would be necessary to carry the fence 2/3 of the way across the beach, when you could easily have followed that vegetation line and not encroach upon the beach if
Precisely.
the intent is that it is supposed to be temporary and for the protection of people. And we understand that. We know when construction is going on, you don't want people wandering in. You don't know what the insurance arrangements are if somebody gets injured on the property or something of that nature during construction. But certainly, I am puzzled as to why they would need to extend it to that degree that would restrict the comfortable access. Let me put it that way: the comfortable access.
They should be able, all Barbadians should be able to drive to Clearwater.
Easily accessible there. So something like this, I believe, had occurred in St. Lucia. And there was a significant outcry in St. Lucia. I'm not sure what was the outcome of that. I would have to research and see what had happened there.
I saw the gentleman there. He went and cut down the fence. He cut it down. But I think that we need to go down there on the beach and just pull those poles up. I don't throw them in the sea. You don't throw them in the sea. Carry them home.
Well, you don't. One of the things, Victor, that's why I asked concerning because I wouldn't necessarily want to encourage people to do something that might put them and me, you would be a former police officer, but that put them, at loggerheads with the constabulary of the country.
But you haven't stolen them, Stealing becomes of such when your intent is to permanently deprive the owner thereof. Our intention is not to permanently deprive the owner, so we will not be stealing.
No, I'm not talking about the aspect of stealing at all. I'm just talking about the aspect of interfering with it, because I still maintain that that could only occur one of two ways. Either they have encroached beyond what the permission of the planning department has permitted, and as such, the planning department should go down and insist that they remove those poles if that is the case.
But that's not the intent. It has nothing, Dr. Ferdinand, it has nothing to do with the safety. It is by design that the ultimate goal is that we will no longer have vehicular access to Clearwater.
Well, that's why I'm asking, and I think it would merit a little more investigation. I'd like to find out, what is the town planning department's position on what I have just seen. If that has been granted, because they can't just do that, Victor. They would have to have permission.
But I want to tell you, 30 to 0, you could do anything. You can have an estimate of 4,000 and spend 35,000, and it's okay. Come on.
I read you. I read you loud and clear.
We can do what we feel like.
But as I sit here, I'm trying to protect the general public, okay, from doing anything that may cause them discomfort in any way, shape, or form, other than having to circumvent the pole. Okay,
have a good night.
Well, listen, I really thank you for drawing this to our attention, and I would like to ask you, and I have no doubt it is your intention anyhow, to pursue this further. And bring us an update with regards to it, that we can confirm things, because I appreciate your perspective, but I'd like to hear some confirmation, because I think that's where the government would be brought under the pressure of explaining to the people how you have allowed this, so. I really appreciate that aspect very much so. Well, Victor, bless you. It's been a pleasure having you, as always, with your your disciplinary approach to it. You can hear the experience of the constabulary coming out in it, and I'd love to ask you just to follow up on that and let us know what the outcome is. So we want to move into our next segment. I am going to invite you, Victor, if you could stay with us, so that we could have some interaction with Mr. Glenn Murray, who is joining us. Good evening, Glenn. It's another opportunity for me to have the distinct privilege of being on the show with you. And I do mean that because I respect the experience that you have had, the knowledge that you carry, and I look forward always when you are on the show to learn. And I know the show is what does Marcia say, Emma? Educate, motivate, mobilize, and agitate. And I know that the people are always very appreciative of your educating them in so many areas from your experience and knowledge. So I welcome you to the Marcia Weekes Show tonight. Pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Dr. Ferdinand. And it's good to be here with you again. But it's been a long time since we shared the microphones together.
Yes,
But
it has been a while.
Right. But just to say that the feelings are mutual as to how we see each other and the contribution, the perspectives and whatnot. I want to say that it's good to hear Victor, and I want to thank Victor for giving me such a graphic insight into the possibilities of what's happening on backdrop.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think, like you, I want to get some more. I want to see some maps. I want to see some drawings. I want some charts. I want to see line marks. and my first question will be, who is the MP for that area? Is it St. James South or is it St. Michael West?
I am not sure. I know
up to Pile Bay is St. Michael West, which is Minister Chris Gibbs. So it might be that or Sandra Husbands for St. James South. I'm not sure about whoever it is. It should be drawn to the minister's attention. Let's investigate and have it exposed and see what really is going on and whose rights might be violated or who has the right to do what. But it should not just be left to fester because it's something that is offensive to any Barbadian. It can be possibly offensive. And I would think that in addition, while the Minister of Planning and Development is the Prime Minister, their responsibility used to go to Minister Duguid, who's no longer senior minister. I think they have now gone to Minister, the lady from St. Michael South Central, Marcia Carroll. I think she has responsibility for that now. So I might need to make some overtures towards her planning. She's in charge of plan and development on a daily basis, on an ongoing basis, for them to come and give the public some information and let's get this matter sorted out as soon as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with you.
Thank you. But as usual, Victor has done a great job in exposing the possibilities, and we need. It is now the public's responsibility to take it from there and make it and bring it to a head one way or another. As you can see, my topic tonight, Dr. Ferdinand, is prior public education vital to productive consultations. Prior public education vital to productive consultations. And by consultation, I make a reference to the one which might still be in session at Dighton Griffith tonight, where the government has set out one to deal with what can basically be described as traffic management. And they say that, when they say prior consultation, I'm saying that prior education, I'm saying public information facts. If you're going to invite the public to come in and talk about a topic, they should have prior information so they don't just come and make up their minds or react on the spot things where they have not had informed information on no prior consultation, no examination. They will just react spontaneously off the top of the head. I think that would do an injustice to what I hope would be the intent of the public consultation, to get the best possible input and informed comment from the public to contribute to the discussion on any topic, not only this one. So I thought that a lot of valuable time would be lost discussing irrelevancies because the information has been structured, organized, and the public should come with us informed of position as possible so that when they can possibly react to the information or the positions taken or recommended by the experts or the officials on the government side. So we have a more balanced and informed discussion, and in other words, don't just dumb down the public by giving little or no information and let them come and react emotionally to what they hear. And I say that because
Glenn, may I ask this if I can? I'm sorry to interrupt
Sure,
you.
no problem.
But shouldn't that be the responsibility of the Government Information Service to disseminate information prior to these kind of things?
Exactly. That I was just going to come to that. It is,
Okay.
I think
Sorry.
not only
Okay,
government,
go ahead.
Information Service, I think the government has a moral and political responsibility and obligation to give the public the best information as possible to make the best possible. I think it's an obligation. Like you said, if like you said, GIS, government information system, the government, and I don't mean information putting it on websites. Because I've come to the position now, it's a topic I'm going to deal with in detail another time. We have come to a position where in a society which used to be highly regarded for its literacy, less and less opportunities are giving people time to read documents except online. And maybe it used to be said that if you want to hide something from people, put it in a book. Maybe you want to hide some people from Barbados, put it online. Because most people do not have online access to these documents. And the reading process, as you would know, is totally different from having printed paper. But it seems that you do it there to save money, but it's at the expense of public information, good governance, and valuable information coming from the public to the government. The feedback is not of the same thing. So in the same way that government should, when you have this kind of consultation, government should produce informed copies of documents, draft decisions. Government should, so you come there with a background and a preparation to ready to speak well and informed. You could therefore be better to ask proper questions of the official. They can't just use jargon and gobbledygook and buzzwords to get the review. So I think that is an obligation. We need to get back to that. And it doesn't have, you don't need full color, black and white. We do. And the government printing that does magnificent work and dirt cheap. And you can publish this and all these kind of topics. You should publish and put some copies available for the public at the post offices. We can go and pick up information. In fact, when it was in government, he had responsibility for information and the public service and print, etc. That's what we would do. We brought the post offices where most people go to. There, if you want an application form for a passport, why do we have to go drive to town to get a form? We had it at the post offices. You can collect them, right? And that all the documents, we try to make them easily available to that day and age. But maybe that is too well. Yeah, for the public, because most people, or it's every neighbor either has a post office or one near to it. It's an easy way to distribute to people. I think
but you being a journalist, an ex-journalist, I believe, if I
once a journalist, always it's just like being a pastor. Once a journalist, always a journalist.
But aren't there times as well that the government used every medium, including the newspapers, for the dissemination of information?
That's right. As a matter of fact, that's right. The government has used this newspapers and TV, etc., to promote this traffic management consultation. The first night at Diagnostic School, there are a series of them at Diagnostic School. Then there are others over the next week or so. Don't talk about the 1st of April. But this is what let me do. Okay, this is what I said. This is the nature of the text. It's on. Read it on the screen there. Traffic management combination.
Traffic management.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Before you do that, the government text says, ask questions which are intended to draw the public's attention and curiosity to the topic. It says the topic narrowly focuses on heavy congestion. Are you waiting for long periods? Being a little late for work, school, or appointments? It's a highly emotive topic. You're dealing with people's emotions. You're not giving them any facts. You're asking a question on an emotive basis, right? And it goes on. Are you frustrated? Tired of waiting? Being late for important? So those, I'm saying it's only the very last line of the advertisement newspaper that the government makes the point of what the real traffic is, right? They're asking for their contribution to the future traffic management in Barbados. It's only at the very end. They tell you they use that so you don't it talks about congestion, but there might be different reasons for congestion. Maybe an accident, maybe a ZR man. So I'm saying the information is not structured in such a way to introduce you to think about the real topic. And when I look at traffic management, I let them tell what traffic management is. So unless I'm given that informed information, do my research, I can have 100 different people might have different interpretations of what to them from their lack of information. They form their own opinion as to what constitutes traffic management. So traffic management, people have different theories and concepts and perceptions and prejudices about. I think they know because they've not been informed. So let's remove the think you know when you don't know and give them information. And that's why I investigated, I researched some concepts of traffic management. And it says, once the combination of engineering, technology, planning, and enforcement strategies used to optimize road network capacity. Oh, you want to read it?
Safety. Yeah, I can read it for you. Improve safety and reduce congestion. Traffic management also involves
reduce congestion congestion for vehicles and pedestrians. Right. Okay, then we go on to the next slide.
Right. Traffic management also involves real-time monitoring, traffic signal control, infrastructural adjustments, and then purpose. Enhance efficiency, improve reliability, manage busy areas, and manage busy areas effectively.
Right. Okay, so now you know people.
And you say here, traffic management is not guesswork. I think that's important. Traffic management is not guesswork.
Okay, so there you are. So now if people had seen that before, that would trigger their mind as to what the lines of line to think hard before you get there, rather than just go there, sit down in innocence, not knowing, and then be confronted with a subject where you're not prepared to ask informed questions. So in other words, traffic management is a highly specialized area. You saw the kind of expertise that's involved engineering and those
technology,
kind of right. It's a highly developed area with its own principles and practices. It's almost a science. It's a science because it involves sociology and psychology, etc. All of that. So it has its own structured, organized, methodical, investigative principles and first principles that are applied to it, that help to give it the seriousness, I suppose. And it's not guesswork. It's not just theories. It has real life practical applications. Like if you saw traffic management and monitoring and make the roads safer, those are practical everyday applications that involve traffic management. So it's not abstract content. It's not abstract at all. So unless these things are known, people will not be able to appreciate what's going on. So I'm saying then that the government has the obligation, like I said, to provide that information. And we need to give citizens a step-by-step proposition as to what their intentions are, as to what you're talking about traffic management. It'd be interesting tonight afterwards for me to play back and hear how the public reacts to this first session. Because I feel that in electricity concept, I feel the government should give, particularly when it's dealing with it. For example, I noticed that the Prime Minister talked about resuscitating, going back to flyovers. So a proposal that had been abandoned and it was yanked away in 2008 by Minister David Thorne. It was an NASA initiative, and when the government changed it in 2008, that's one of the basic things he did. I remember he fired the contractors on the floor of the House. All right. So now that the Prime Minister has said you're going back to it, and I heard the new Minister of Transport and Work, Minister Humphrey, say on TV last night that yes, they're going to have one at Waterford, on, I think by Bussa, etc., the flyovers. And they know that Minister Humphrey prides himself on being data-driven, being getting information, being getting facts, what the facts are, etc., investigative material that give you data, so you can then make informed decisions. I would like to know, because neither the Prime Minister nor Minister Humphrey said it, I would like to know on what basis have they already concluded that they are going with it? What was the basis? What I hope Minister Humphrey would take the opportunity to do that. In other words, and the other question is, if you're gonna take a project from last time, is your information on traffic magic, is your information on flyovers and those features all part of traffic magic? Is that the latest science in the area, or are you making decisions based on what you left in 2008 and based on what you think they were? You're guessing? I'm saying that any change where it's going to involve, obviously, massive expenditure for the public again. Any change, it should be a reasonable scientific discussion where the people can be walked through step by step as to how you arrive at the solution if you're going back to flyovers. Or would the design be the same? Would the exact position, would the sizes be the same? Would the materials be the same? Because a lot has happened in 18 years. Right? So I'm saying that unless we go and make a fold up again, I think those are things that the public should demand. In other words, tell me what, because in traffic, they do studies, they do investigations, do surveys. Tell me, now that we're going to this traffic management process, including flyovers, etc., what are the latest positions? Have you done a prior study? If so, what have your studies, what have they shown? What are the findings? What are the recommendations? What are the pros and the cons? I think all of that information should be printed and disseminated because we're going to have to live with it for a long time.
That's right.
That's right. We're going to live with it.
Period.
Fine.
You say for a long time till Jesus comes.
and for example, there used to be an ad in the Economist magazine which said, "Never underestimate the importance of local knowledge." And Victor and his team in George River are an excellent example of that principle, where the local knowledge of the situation. I think. So I'm saying when you are looking at traffic management, we should have and you're going to deal with roads or change roads or apply for certain roads. You should have drawings and diagrams visually representing what you plan to do, so that people who know the area, who use the area, can look and see, well, yes, this might work, that would make sense, I would take that back. So they have a practical visual thing. If you go there just abstract, I don't know every road there is. I can have a mental picture of certain places, certain roads, but my information might be old. I'm saying that the public should be having, in this day and age, we have so many computers. This information can be rolled off very cheaply, reproduced for the government pantry, and let people have access to them so that they know what they're talking about. They can give their input into this. Otherwise, you'll find people making decisions off the top of their head. I remember once, I think late last year, the Prime Minister saying that we were talking about traffic congestion itself, announcing that as from, I think, for the 1st of November, within days of the announcement, we're going to have a one-way traffic experiment on Calamara, where on the mornings we one way into town and the afternoon we one way out of town. I mean, so somebody obviously talked to her about it or let her know it didn't make sense. And it had not been enforced. But if you do that, the first thing, where would the traffic, which customary travels and that, where would it go? It's going to go elsewhere and create problems, issues, congestion, blockages, slow down, right? Other places. So those ramifications, the repercussions. And if you have these things laid out by maps, simple maps, names of roads and directions, and visualize and with diagram, show what the proposal is to do next time, you will get a better decision. Like I said, you benefit from the people who live on the ground, who use it, and they can have that feedback. So
but if you're going to, sorry, when I say if you, I don't mean you yourself. If one is going to have all the drawings done for the Bay Street project and the Pierhead project and all of that. Certainly, you should be able to have some kind of drawings done relative to something, which, while I'm not going to deny the technology and engineering required, but it can't be as much as putting up a multi-story building in Bridgetown on Pierhead on the water. I would believe the engineering would be considerably greater in terms of that. So if you can get all those drawings done and imagery done for something like that, certainly you should be able to get it done for something like a flyover. But I was in discussions with someone, Glenn, I wanted to throw this out to you, in that you were talking about traffic management. And they indicated to me, did you ever notice that when schools are on vacation, how traffic drops dramatically, and it is a lot easier flow, even during rush hour? And I just wondered if that is the case, is there anything in terms of looking at what you have here that managing the location of schools or something of that nature might very well be able to assist?
Yeah, you're right. And not only is traffic easier, and traffic flows are not as strong and regular and tough, but the mood of the country changes.
Yes,
the hustle,
yes.
the bustle, the frustration.
Yeah, all of that goes.
Oh yeah, people say, yeah, the schools in out. So it also has a psychological impact on people, because they're no longer involved in the frenzied, desperate effort to get to school and pick up their children and get to work on time, right? And therefore so traffic management is not just about vehicles. We want to know, it also affects people's social life, the psychological life.
Right.
That is why I think all this congestion contributes to road rage. Many years ago, I read a study about traffic management and flyovers, etc., and road management I think it was California, where in California you have to have a car, otherwise you can't. There are no buses. There are no buses in most places, so you have to have a car, and so they would lots of cars. So they build new highways to accommodate more cars. And what they found, one of the unintended consequences of building more roads and wider roads and longer roads and more flyovers was that people, because the road network was technically improved, people were more inclined to buy another car. So the car population numbers kept rising and rising, because the better roads you produce, people feel it's an easier drive, it's a faster drive, it's a swifter drive, it's a safer drive, and people are therefore encouraged to buy more roads. So all these human factors, the psychological, the sociological factors, are involved in traffic management.
I want to draw one other thing to your attention as well, because it's something I do, and I'm sure it's something you do. I avoid roads, Glenn, that are filled with potholes and rough surfaces and that type of thing. Wouldn't it make sense? And I am just an ordinary thinking person, but wouldn't it make sense to first fix all of the highways in the country to see how your traffic management is either going to be improved or whatever, before you engage something of this nature, which could be, because I mean, they had a loan from the IADB in 2018, I understand, for over 200 million, another one not long ago for over 300 million, and yet we are seeing no significant changes to road conditions. And I believe people move from one area to another in order to avoid those conditions, hence creating traffic jams somewhere else.
That's right. People look for shortcuts, alternate routes, go through residential areas which were not built to accommodate buses and ZRs and whatnot. They drive fast. That's why they've had to insert and impose traffic management, traffic devices, silent policemen, we call humps, to try to help manage that process. So
let me interrupt you for another moment, because we are into the 9 o'clock hour, which is, as you know, the callers, the time for our callers. We do have a caller on the line, but we want to remind all of you to place your calls 236-7000 And, we here will, and the team on the panel will do what we can to answer if there are questions and for your contributions. Good evening, caller. You are on the Marcia Weekes Show.
Hi, good night, Reverend.
Good night. Could you speak up a little louder, please?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, good night, Pastor Thorne.
Good night.
From St. Joseph.
Okay.
Yeah, from St. Joseph. Now, listening to you earlier, when I was talking about the same backslot, Barbados, and so on, I remember my friend here mentioned something, and if you couldn't remember, but I remember it good. You remember when it first started, the name Four Seasons?
Yes, sir.
Four Seasons, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Four Seasons was the name.
Yes.
You remember Amanar Prasad used to carry, put it this way, he used to carry the money.
You used to do what?
You used to do what with the money?
Tally.
Carry the money. And Martin used to do the paperwork. Could you remember it was said that that money they come from the national insurance?
I think I do. I think I do, yes.
Yeah. I try to remember if it was the past administration or this administration. But if my brain is correct, I think it happened on the last administration, which is the Democratic Labour Party, who lent them the money from the national insurance. You can remember anything like that?
I think I do, yes, sir.
All right then. Now since it get that far, I think it's rare now to go back into the past to get to the future. And instead of sleeping dogs, right? Too much things happening. Let me get right. It happened on the last administration, which is the DLP. Chris Stigler was the Minister of Finance. Get him out of the woodwork. Let me start something from there. How does that sound to you?
You're making a very good point. You're making a very good point, caller.
Yeah, get him out of the woodwork. Because too much things happening in Barbados. And it get it to be a 9 years wonder. And then after that, people say going to Buckley Hopper, or Buckley Horn, Buckley Chimney. It's done with. So that's something we're going to investigate. Four Seasons, Amanar Prasad, Morley, and Chris Stigler. Gentlemen, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
That was well said, boy. That was well said, Dr. Ferdinand.
If I may take up that point.
Go right ahead.
I think the caller has really struck upon one of the most remarkable features I've ever seen in political life in Barbados, where Minister Chris Stigler. Here's some music somewhere. Is that me or you?
No, do we have another caller?
Something is intruding. But are you hearing me?
Go ahead.
I'm hearing the point is that I'm still yet to get over the fact that the BLP is often wanted to beat up on the DLP to say they never apologize for the damage they did to the country and the economy before 2018, right? But I think Chris Stigler, who is the architect of the economic policies and chief spokesperson should apologize to Barbadians for what he did. But if that to prove it probably was not bad enough, he's not only been made a minister in the present government, the government where they're so castigated one another, but he's made a senior minister over and above people who from 2018 have been working as BLP ministers, have done well or fairly well. And he's come and been escalated all them. What is he promoting for? True, his record, because he did not leave a sterling record, an outstanding record as a DLP minister, a record of economic degradation. You see, is that what he's being rewarded for? And how do you think, in fact, my information that there's some person within the BLP ranks now, among his so-called ministerial colleagues, who are not comfortable with him or with that fact. They think that they have been overlooked and overshadowed by somebody who was their arch political opponent at one time.
I'm going to cross you again, Glenn, because we have another call on the line. Good evening, caller.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we're hearing you pretty okay. Go ahead.
Great. It was just a query. We had a budget lately, and in the budget, there was no word about. Let me back this up a little bit. Do you remember when we used to pay road tax?
Yes, sir.
We would pick some vehicles to pay 400, some people pay 1,000, some people pay more, depending on the type of vehicle, weight, etc. And I was remembering that they said, okay, no road tax, because people were complaining about the potholes. I wanted to be clear, they were complaining about the potholes, and this administration, the BLP, said, okay, no more road tax, we're going to put it into the gas. So when you buy your petrol now, diesel or gas, you would be with the road tax, as it were. Now, this has been going on for many years now. Okay, people have stopped complaining about the road condition in terms of the potholes, but the potholes are even bigger now. And if you were to calculate the amount of money that you pay at the pump, you would realize that you would pay in your road tax sometimes 3 and 4 times the amount you would normally pay at the pump.
Yes.
But yet the tolls are going at a significant rate. I have right now a vehicle that I was going to the doctors one day, going to get some not doctors, going to get X-rays or something, and then I left early. Blew up a tire. Had to hire a taxi. I called to the people that in the fine there, and they told me to do this, do that, examinations, all that, investigation. I still haven't got any money. I bought the tire, spent the money on the taxi, still haven't got the money. The pothole has been covered, and a new pothole has been developed in the same, close to the same place. You have to veer off the potholes sometimes and drive as though you're in New York on the right-hand side. Treacherous. The government is supposed to take care of our safety on the road. How could we be talking about flyover when you can't get the on-the-drives working? This is erroneous. How could you be asking the public to say this is what we're going to do when you can't even fix what's on the ground now? I have a real problem with this government, because they're saying they're doing all these pretty things, and yet the standard of living is just dropping day by day, day by day.
You're absolutely correct, caller. Absolutely correct. And you have our agreement, I'm sure.
What can we do? How are we going to push forward for these flyovers? Anything you want me to do, sign a petition, anything you want me to, I will sign off, because you cannot go up until you fix what's down here. You can't build a house from the top down. You got to build it from the bottom up. Unless we live in a place that has no gravity. I don't understand this. All of what I'm hearing and seeing from the estimates they're putting out at the last budget, and how they want more money for this and for that. But yet you haven't fixed the problem. You haven't told us what you have done with the money that you had the last 7 years. There's no possibility.
And caller, that money you're talking about at the pump, my understanding was that generates around $80 million a month That's close to $1 billion a year. Over 7 years is $7 billion. And we haven't heard anything at all with regards to that. Well, thank you so very much. We appreciate you calling in. Is that all you wanted to share with us, or you have another point to make before you go?
I can't take all the time on this channel. I can't do that. Other people probably want to call in.
Okay, we appreciate your consideration. Thank you so very much.
For might I quickly add another point I want on the question of traffic management?
Yes.
Traffic management. The next big thing coming in Barbados is supposedly the Mass Transit Authority. The public only knows it as a term, as a name, as an abstract idea. We cannot discuss traffic management properly, future traffic management in Barbados properly, unless we know the role of the proposed role for the Mass Transit Authority, which is supposed to incorporate the Transport Board, the PSV sector, and other entities to create this Mass Transit Authority, right? All these things, all these are factors that have to be brought into the discussion on traffic management. Otherwise, we'll be only dealing with tar roads, and that will take us nowhere.
Yes, we have another caller line. They're coming in quickly, so pardon the interruptions. Just make a note of your thoughts so that we can come back to it, huh? Good evening, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Hey, how are you?
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, we're hearing you loud and clear. I'm doing well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I want to run a comment for you. Previously, under during the SC government, there was a
Are you all hearing him? I think we're breaking
seems to be
up.
dropping
Caller,
out.
we seem to be dropping out on your call.
Yeah, I said under the Barbados government in 1967, there was a government institution called the Housing Authority.
Called the
Housing Authority.
Housing Authority.
Housing Authority.
Then it was changed to National Housing Corporation. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, these two organizations were government organizations responsible for looking after the housing needs of the lower class and the middle class, especially. During the last government, the Minister of Housing was entrusted with $60 million to run what is called a core project, to build houses for the lower and the middle income class. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
The Prime Minister herself questioned the minister about paying $60 million and probably removed him from the Ministry of Housing. Remember that?
Yes.
Now, the question I want to know is this. Right now, in this present government now, there is no National Housing Corporation. And I do not know which agency is now responsible for housing. Okay.
Yeah, sir. If you have another device if you can hear me, if you have another device on in your home or nearby you, that could be interfering with the continuity of your call.
Let's turn on this television.
Okay, because your call is coming and going.
The problem now is, as I said, there is no present National Housing Corporation for National Housing. And what you want to know is this. Are the debts or the funds that were dispersed under the National Housing Corporation for the ministers to disperse housing for people, is that finished? Because I want to know if the minister under the last put it under food and was charged with the non-performance of $60 million, if that not again. Because I don't think that money can easily allow to vanish without any sort of I leave it to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for your call. I would imagine that the responsibility for accounting to that, Glenn, wouldn't that be like the Auditor General? And if we had a public accounts committee in terms of following up on that type of thing?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That'd be a role for an investigation, an audit, special audit by the Accountant General's office. That's what they do routinely. That's their legal responsibility. But I dealt with the same topic a few weeks ago when they deemed it that the BLP government, which had pioneered public housing in Barbados back in the 40s and wanted from bare land, etc., and come forward, presents the pine. They have lost their soul, their vision, their purpose. Because in the last estimates, the new Minister of Housing, Minister Gibbs, said that the gentleman's right. There is still a national housing corporation, but it will not build houses like before. That role is going to be given back, or has gone back to, or remains with hope.
Yes.
Despite its spectacular failure, its controversy, suspicions, the lack of transparency, the government's going right back to them where hope was supposed to do the building, and where hope we're supposed to have produce 2,000 houses a year was said by the same Auditor General in his last report. They have built 110 houses out of the 2,000. So we are really in a big dilemma, a big hole where public housing is concerned for the working class.
But Victor, as I'm listening to Glenn, listening to the callers, I made a note here. It's like decisions are being made off the top of these people's heads. It's like there is no, I don't know if I'm using the correct word, investigation, research into the ideas that they may have. It's like somebody gets up in the morning and has an idea and puts it out there and says, this is what we're going to do. Your thoughts on what Glenn is sharing and what you would have heard the callers address in their calls.
I really
you're a former police officer, so traffic management would be an area that should grab your attention.
Well, yeah, it did grab my attention earlier because when we start to think about zoning, zoning was something that surfaced, it was discussed, but there are quite a lot of interesting issues as it relates to zoning. And we spoke relative to the whole concept of lack of congestion when schools are on vacation. And, it's a wonderful thing to be able to traverse even the city area when the schools are on holiday. But whenever you see that morning period of time, and let's say between 2 and 3:32 and 4 o'clock, you have that congestion again with the traffic. But we started to come up with this whole idea of zoning, and zoning would have addressed the whole movement of traffic. And that, for us now in St. Joseph, we'll be concentrating most likely on Allen School and West St. Joseph, and we'll be concentrating on the primary school in St. Andrew, St. Elizabeth Primary, and St. Joseph Primary, and maybe St. Bernard's Primary. And that is where we would be as a people, either at the secondary level or the primary level. But that never materialized. And of course, if you had a choice between Combermere, Harrison's College, and, not in any way given a spectrum here in terms of hierarchy, but when we think of these schools, the choice in zoning, the common entrance exam, that in actual fact determines where you go. So do we address that system? Do we have zoning wherein all the secondary schools are the same? All the primary schools are the same? Everybody want to go to Earlston, everybody want to go to Charles F. Bloom. I know of those primary schools. Everybody wants to go to Harrison's College or Combermere or Queen's College or Harrison's College, as the case may be. So there's some schools that people would have their reservations about, and then the others that they want to gravitate to. So the zoning system really was intended to address the whole concept of traffic congestion, so we wouldn't have that large movement of people, and that people will be focused more on the schools surrounding their where they reside. But that didn't materialize, and will it materialize? I don't know. I do have my reservations there. There are schools and other schools, and I'm a former teacher, and I know that. I know that there are schools and other schools. I know that schools get larger budgets. I know that schools have certain capacities when it comes to, let's say, extracurricular activities and, you know, the actual school plan. They vary significantly. So zoning would seriously address the density of traffic. The distribution would be significant and one that we can easily entertain. But can we have that as a people? I do have my reservations.
Ferdy, I've heard in the talk about so-called education transformation. It's no longer educational transformation. It didn't make sense to me linguistically, grammatically. They now call it education transformation. It is said that zoning will be combined with other factors to determine where students will be placed in the revised or transformed system that is to come in by 28 or something like that. But whatever system you have, or zone, or whatever the zoning or partial zoning or complete zone, you will have to have a proper and sustainable transportation system to make it work, to move children on reliable basis. It hurts me to hear that there's some children who get up on mornings 4 o'clock to have to get to the bus stop, to try to get a bus to get to school for 8:30, 9:15. 4 o'clock. Children.
But that still happens, Glenn. I used to do that when I was a child at Hartson College, 11 years old.
It still
happens. And these are sometimes these are primary schools, you know, not necessarily secondary school children. So I'm saying that there's a whole multiplicity of factors you have to think about, and consider and put into place when you're dealing with school and education. And also remind you, Freddie, you talked about people making decisions or taking decisions off the top of their head. Remember, there's some months ago, it was decided that you're going to have 2 new schools in Calamara. Remember, Grade C is to move to, right? And there's another one to be built over by the old RBC site.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what's going to happen?
With
that's
traffic?
Like heavy traffic and congested area. Can you imagine what will happen? Then you have those 2 schools again.
No proper planning.
No planning, consultation, whatever.
Nothing. You know, and I'm finding, you know, Glenn, as I move around the country, even here not far from my home, I am amazed at some of the ideas and suggestions that the ordinary people sitting outside of a shop are coming up with in terms of solutions to problems of all kinds. I mean, we talked about, the aspect of athletics or sports being an avenue to direct our young people into, in order to help reduce the trend, the trend toward, or the tendency toward the block and that kind of thing, you know, giving them some kind of an opportunity to develop in a athletic or sports environment. No, let me say athletic, because there's a lot of other sports that are involved. And some of these things are coming from just the ordinary people on the street. Why are we not engaging them? I mean, I hear what you said about Dighton Griffith, but again, when if I'd gone to that meeting tonight, I would first have to sit to hear what they are saying, and then I would have to try and formulate an idea or question with regards to it.
Because you'll be at the disadvantage of having not had prior information.
Yeah, and you're quite correct in terms of the emotion, because rather than driving something on the basis of facts and research and technology, and we have tons of technology available to us today to help us in our research, what you're doing is you're tending to play on the emotions of people to get a response from them.
But don't we see this, Dr. Ferdinand, as a matter of formality, you know,
You
because
mean the decision has already been made, but it's just that
you know, yeah. Of course, that is the case, you know. So what is happening now? It's just a matter of formality. All those documentation have been prepared already in terms of what they plan to do and etc. and all the above, you know. But as
because the Chinese already, the Chinese already
yeah,
signed the papers for the construction of the
right,
flyovers and everything. So it's just that if anybody
yeah,
objects, you can't
right.
say that you were not consulted.
As Mr. Murray rightfully said, that folks should have been given the opportunity where you're given a package as to what the attempted before, what were our previous aims and goals, what we
Right.
challenge, you know, so that people can do their research, look at previous objectives and what are the factors influencing those decisions, how far we have reached in terms of a strategic plan, you know, in terms of former projects, so that you'll be able to do your research. So you'll come with a background knowledge as to what we tried before, what were the pros and cons, so that you're well versed now to enter a meeting there, because you're entering the meeting more from an informed position, right? Rather than searching out, because as you rightfully said, you know, you have to feel your way out. So I'm seeing these meetings as one of formalities. When I look back of what transpired there with the abuse of money, what you call it, the program again?
You mean the Hope Project?
Not the whole project, man. The one there with the 4 and the 35 million.
Oh, Carifesta.
Carifesta, you know, because when you do your estimates and your projections, that documentation, was it only in the hands of one person that would have seen what we plan to do and what is our budget? You know, because the same thing holds here in that
You're right.
Well, I think the same thing holds with the cybercrime bill. I mean, when I sat in Washington, the impression given was that the government had consulted the citizens of Barbados. Had we not been sitting in that commission, in front of the people in that commission, that is the information that they would have heard. And you all know that the consultation with the citizens of Barbados for the cybercrime bill was not broad-based.
So for all those folks in Carifesta, you mean no one has had the opportunity to see a budget for $4 million, knowing very well that, you know, I mean, nobody had the chance to look through this. All of these well-versed people didn't have the chance to see that.
Ferdy?
But yes, Glenn, I hear you chomping at the bit there.
Yeah, that $4 million, I brought that to the attention as soon as from the estimate that was only a startup figure, because there's no way $4 million could finance Carifesta in this day and age. That was only an insertion, an indicative figure to start the budgeting process started. But there's no way. The problem is, I remember they did the same thing with the gathering, had a nominal figure, and then what they were doing, they were taking bits and pieces. One of the officials came and said that on air once, another program that was on. They were taking money from different ministries to keep the program going, because when the estimates decide that a ministry is going to get $250 billion, they don't get it one time. They get it over a period of time as government's revenue come in and go. They had in tranches, in allotments over time. So for something like this, and if you don't want to, if you are not sure of, but that's right, we should have had a projected proposed cost for Carifesta, Okay, we have a phone, but afterward, when you go through the program, a structured program, you would know how much you can afford to spend. But it look as though Barbados is trying to impress the world that we could do bigger and better and sweeter and faster than anybody else. And not reckoning that there had to be a reckoning at the end of the day. And when you hear this figure that has been mentioned about what might be the final cost of Carifesta, it reminds me of what we used to say in government when they shared a cabinet with Miss Morty. You used to tell her, Miss Morty, take it easy. And Miss Miller was famous for this. You never hesitate to spend. Words to the effect, $3 million when 3,000 would do, especially when it's other people's money. So, and that was Prime Minister Arthur, who was then Minister of Finance, used to have her under tight control. He didn't always succeed because, Edutech turned out to be something else. But the point is, now that she's both Minister of Finance
and Prime Minister,
and Minister of Culture, and Prime Minister, really, I'm sorry that Minister Strong we don't really want to hear about Minister Strong, but he was a minister in the Ministry of Finance that time. In other words, he was still taking instructors and orders from Miss Morley. She was still his boss. And she was Minister of Culture. Chantel Monroe was the day-to-day Minister of Culture. So therefore, Prime Minister she was Prime Minister, Minister of Culture, and Minister of Finance. So she would have had overall dominant supervision and responsibility year on year over the kinds of money that were allocated and spent on Carifesta. And I think what was missing also is that we never got to know how many programs were on. It seemed as though it was being done as you go along, make it on the fly. It was only towards the end we heard about Carifesta House. Where the land, I'm still not sure what is the status of the land area that was established on. You see, money was taken to help do the big cane ground. What still refers to the cane ground, the alleged National Botanical Gardens, because you cannot. It's an insult to other rare botanical gardens around the world to have so-called national gardening. Botanical does not. It's not doing the botanical scientific work, but doesn't even have basic amenities like bathrooms.
Let me get you to stick a pin there, Glenn. We have another caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. You're on the air.
Good evening, Dr. Ferdinand.
Good evening.
I'm agree with what's being said thus far concerning the financing of these projects and the way the government is operating. Seeing their modus operandi is to, as Ms. Morley has said, we can start, and if anything goes wrong, we can always come back to it. No, we didn't get a budget or even a breakdown, like a general breakdown for Carifesta. But we got a figure that we weren't expecting. That is supposed to be the actual budget. Now, saying that we can't stop them because they're trying to make a name for themselves, and we can't stop them from doing, these projects that they're coming up with, and not fixing the basic issues and build on it. Can we have a budget, a projected budget and general breakdown of the flyovers? This is the general public asking. This is the Barbados public asking for a budget on the proposed flyover and a general breakdown of it. We are begging for that to happen so that we are not caught off guard as we were with Carifesta. So we know that our pockets is going to stay because they will either fall in taxes going up or remaining the same. So we're begging for a budget on these flyovers because instead of fixing the roads, fixing the issues, just like the transport, they want to do flyover. That's what the Basin public is asking for, a budget, please.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, you know, Glenn, again, you know, it's like I just had a thought run through my mind. It's like they're trying to leave a legacy of something big that they have done. I don't know if it makes sense to you.
Yeah, yeah. Let me. The attitude. Remember.
Let me just see if we have another caller. Do we have
Okay.
another caller on the line?
Good night.
Hello. Good night. Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Yeah. Good night and welcome to the show, and good night to everyone.
Good night.
Yeah, I need to have a little talk on traffic. We're talking about traffic management. Traffic management is a lot to do with traffic enforcement. You cannot manage traffic unless you have most of the rules and laws enforced. In Barbados, that is a sad state of affairs. We don't even have anything enforced when it comes to traffic. We have the minibuses stopping in the middle of the road. They're supposed to stop here, they're supposed to stop there, they do what as they like, nobody says anything. I take an example from Eagle Hall. You come to Eagle Hall, there's a police station at Eagle Hall, and the minibuses don't only park all over the road, but they stop when they feel like, as long as they feel like, stop at the traffic light, go past any vehicles on the outer side of the traffic light, and nobody says nothing. Nobody enforces the laws in Barbados. We talk about flyovers. How do you fly over where you don't have anywhere to drive on? The roads are awful. We don't even have good gutters. We don't even have good sidewalks. And we talk about flyovers. How do you get to the height without having a good foundation? If you don't have a good foundation and good gutters to run the water, where are you going to put the flyovers? Where the water from the flyovers going to go? How come in Barbados everybody puts the cat first and then the horse? This is an amazing thing. Anyhow, let's talk about product. This product that we're talking about now was way back in the particular time. Where the Prime Minister was a lawyer, and Prasad was a member of that team. For years, this thing went dead. All of a sudden, it's alive again. Don't people see strange things? Don't people see that the other government was a government of destruction by destruction, and by the people that they're bringing out to bring the other government? Mr. Chris Baker was a failure, and they have said this about this man. No, this same man is the man of, I don't know what. He's the brain scientist of this time. These things happen strange, and then people vote this government back in again, and everybody's seeing and knowing what's going on. Everything is okay. Education. Educational transformation. What are we transforming education to? I thought if you're going to transform things, the first thing you should start with is discipline. We had situations where people came from overseas and questioned our children. I was really about transforming, but transforming them to what? When questioned about it, the minister, the education ministry at that time said this wasn't the first time. And it wasn't nothing strange. This is what the transformation is about in Barbados. We are transforming people from good people to all kinds of people. Can't we see that? This education thing is going downhill to the minibuses. The minibuses is responsible for the transforming of the education, not the education transforming. They're transforming the youth from good youth to all kinds of parasites. And we're talking about transforming this and transforming that. These are three great situations where we can see transformation. Traffic, where we have the minibuses again transforming You wrote what people feel like. Then we go to what they call a kell. They disappear, they come back, and they're transformed into different ownership. And then education. He usually minibus again to transform the children from human beings to all kinds of parasites. It's about time we start seeing what the transformation is. They say that the last government was a doomed generation. We bringing back the people from that same doomed generation, not around this generation. So we doing this community. No.
Yeah.
Good night. That's my contribution.
Ferdy, are you there, Ferdy? Hi.
Yes, I am. Go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, I think the last two callers touched on some points which I wanted to make. We need to have a budget. What would this flyover and other those kind of changes? What are they likely to cost us, etc. Up front. The other thing is that this whole thing about Carifesta, this revelation of what the nearly $45 million, $45 million cost.
It's gone up now?
It's Carifesta.
38 million.
Then there was a 4 million plus 38.7. It's 34.4. 34, something like that. 38 million. Okay, let's say $38 million plus. You know what is so offensive? You know what I find from what people have told me, called me, where this so offended, is that this extravagance has taken place at a time when people are struggling. When they are struggling daily to make ends meet, to get by, to get to school, to get to work, to feed the children, to travel up, to go about their business, and then to see that blows their mind. They're offended that have taken place so easily in front of their eyes, and they did not have a clue. And that's what making the reaction so horrendous.
You see,
right?
that's what we call about this.
Let me give you an idea. I am told, let me show you the extra, that Marshall Montana came and performed for Carifesta.
25,000 US.
Who? 250,000 US.
Oh my.
I'm told 250,000, $500,000 Barbados dollars. And the other one was what was the one from England?
250,000 US, you're right.
The one from England was what, Third World? And I've been involved in two Carifestas, actively. I remember we went to Carifesta. Carifesta is supposed to expose the civilian, natural, cultural exponents of your country's culture. We went to Cuba in '79, and we had Gabby, we had the escorts, the dance ship, that kind of thing. So I remember Black Satin sang about Caribbean, man. The song was a Caribbean festival. I really heard that Marshall was coming here to do what? He's not the average performing artist. He's a commercial venture. Why did we put money into him or the one from the Third World? So according to my information, those are company ages, those are the areas in which this big money went. Not all among Bajans. And those things were extravagant, as though you're trying to impress people. I've never heard of these big, unless they were native bands performing so for such sums, or for any kind. Some people do national duty. And in Barbados, we had to put on the biggest and baddest and brightest and prettiest show.
Oh yes,
most expensive too.
Oh yes. You know, we can't have anybody match us line. You know, we have to be beyond anybody. You know, that's what makes this so disgusting and disingenuous. You know, I am looking here at the article carried in the Nation, in which the CEO of the National Cultural Foundation, when questioned on public debate on the millions of cost overruns, she indicated that between August the 22nd to the 31st, 347 events across 42 venues showcase the talents of hundreds of participants from 31 countries in music, fashion, dance, the literary arts, theatre, film, culinary arts, heritage, and other areas. 13,408 tickets sold to the various events. 93,500 people passed through the Carifesta village, and over 8 days, 1.5 million in sales. And I can go on. When could she, in response to the queries about the breakdown, 14.1 million was spent on institutional expenditures that included prop, costumes, electrical installations, fixtures, furniture, booths, and building out the Carifesta village and Grand Market. 10.1 million went to service providers, song lighting, screens, electrical. 5.8 million to accommodation, airfares, and per diem. But I thought the people coming here were looked after by their specific and appropriate governments to represent their countries, where their airfares, their accommodations, their expenditures were the responsibility of their countries. I mean, Glenn, you've been involved.
How could you be formulating a budget? How could you be formulating a budget, your Dr. Ferdinand, and your ultimate spending is 9 times what you budgeted for? I mean, how can we sit down and internalize that? How can Bajans accept a behavior like that? It tells me, right, that we will be having a budget now for all these flyovers, etc. That technically speaking means nothing. So if you have a budget, let's say for 40 million for the flyover, and we spend $360 million.
Yeah, you can't question that.
I can't question that, because that is the culture that we're into now.
And mind you, Victor, I took the liberty of looking at the adjusted. Let me just find it here. The cumulative inflation rate between 2003 and 2025 is estimated at between 90. Let me get this correct: 95 to 110%. In other words, something that would have cost $100 in 2003 would cost roughly between 195 to 210 in 2025.
Right.
So if you were to look back at, I don't recall what the budget was for the previous Carifesta, Glenn. I don't know if you have that
I think there was one in 2017.
Yes.
That was nowhere near what it was the far. No other one, I think, in history of the Caribbean has come close to this one.
Because if you were to look at that and you were to apply the cumulative inflation rate, then we might have spent around maybe $8 million. But at the end of the day, the question still stands. Where is the, any basic accountant would be able to put some figures to these things that would not have come. Go ahead, Glenn.
You don't have to be an accountant. You just have to have a social conscience. You just have to have a feeling for the public's purse. And that constrains you. Let me tell you something. I work with two prime ministers, especially, and two ministers for that. Prime Minister Tom Adams and Prime Minister Owen Arthur. Prime Minister Tom Adams, he was so tight with not only with the public's money, with his own. He used to keep a daily register in which he kept track of all the money spent day by day. All right? Owen Arthur, for example, the lower court wanted certain improvements. He would buy a stove this year, change the fridge next year, change the year, because he didn't feel that he should do extravagant when other people were struggling. You understand? So because he had a social conscience, like for example, there were some people in cabinet who used to tell Prime Minister Arthur, man, we should develop a health system, a health package for us. Mr. Arthur and Prime Minister said, no, we can't do that for ourselves when the public still does not have health. You know what I mean? You pay your
Yeah,
dues.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
we do, right? So that, but when you don't have those constraints, it made me remember there used to be a saying a few years ago that bring drinks, somebody will pay. Remember you say that,
Yeah,
Victor?
yeah.
There you go.
Yes,
Bring drinks, you
yes.
don't care. Somebody will pay. But that is what happened to Carifesta. Come, people, come. I'm yet to understand why you had to have so many events, so-called events, crammed into such short space of time. I would like to know what the attendances were at each. You would spend a lot of money preparing venue, transportation, but what were the returns? How many people went to each? Was everyone a success?
I understand. I understand, Glenn, that the majority of the events were very well attended, but a number of the events were free. And as you know, Bajans love a freeness. But when I look at, let me just give you a couple more figures, if I may. Expenditure of 2.5 million for performance fees, 1.5 million on staffing. That is coordinators, volunteers, liaison officers, marshals, enumerators. 1.9 million on marketing, advertising, content creation, and live streaming. 1.1 million on hospitality. 1.5 million on ground transportation, and 1.7 million on the Barbados program. My question is, what is this that is coming up here now? You all are seeing this, Glenn? Victor, you all are seeing this?
Another one bites the dust. And you know, Gordon's
Another
Road.
shooting?
Yes, but Gordon's Road, that is the same area where we had a shooting of recent.
Yeah.
There was one there, and then I think there was one in the Bushall area.
I think there was also a stabbing in that area too. A stabbing to death in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised, because this is what people will do in order to walk the annals of Parliament. Commit crime, you know, and then they get a chance to walk.
Right. I've heard some early comments from Minister, who's the Minister of Legal Affairs and Legal Affairs and Criminal Justice, Minister Lashley. He talked tough. He sound tough. He sound like he mean business, but we want action. We want to see these kind of things being, maybe not eliminated, but reduced to a minimum as it was before. But if he does not, I hope he does better at this then. He's Minister of Crime Prevention. Minister Humphrey was also Minister of Crime Prevention. He never seemed to have knowledge of the public. I think he only spoke about it once in public. But I'm saying that we need frontal assault on these things. We need to push back on it, just talk back or talk to. We need action consistently to get a long-term result.
Mr. Murray,
Mr.
Murray, I want to hit you with this one, you know. You pick up the pen already, you know. From the time we saw who walked to Parliament Yard with the Prime Minister of this country, they picked out the pen. Long time.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Victor. Dave, are you telling me
that was last night?
Because I'm seeing breaking news: shooting in St. Lucie.
That was last night, Freddie.
That was last night.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, and now we have the one, and several of them injured. And now tonight, Goodins Road, Station Hill, another shooting, one dead. How many more? You know, I don't know. I don't know. Was it Trinidad? I think, Glenn, I'm hearing Trinidad is pulling out their military to work with the police. I think I saw this recently, to pull in this matter of crime. I've seen a couple of South American countries get very aggressive. Was it Brazil? I think where their military got involved again with it. I'm beginning to think that we're going to have to take some drastic action.
Jamaica too.
Jamaica. I'm beginning to think that, you know, enough lot of what is the old saying? Enough lot of long talk. No lot of long talk. We need to do something very aggressively to haul it in, and then we can start to work on and preventing, you know, the methods of prevention and so on, you know, because I can't believe this.
For the factors, the elements that we need to turn this around have to start in the home. Before you get to school, those values have to be implanted on children in their early psychology. A child's personality, when I did psychology, I was taught, is formed by age 3 or so.
Sorry
If you don't have
sorry
those
again, Glenn.
discipline imposed,
I'm
and
not-
then you have to fight them to get down to school, which is not the role of teachers. So you have to
Yes.
start with the mothers and the fathers and the household, that this is, you are contributing another human being in the future. And this is what needs to be done if you want to create a different kind of, you have to change the home culture then.
Yes. I am not sure if this is another caller. Is this another caller on the line? Hello? Okay, no, I thought it was another caller. Sorry, Glenn.
No,
No,
go
you're
ahead.
absolutely correct. I mean, I understand. Okay, I understand the need for family involvement, and there are a lot of things contributing to this whole development. I know there's studies that have been done. We have Denmark switching from all the technology in their classrooms back to books. I recently watched another presentation to do with, and these are studies done. These are actual studies done that have been showing the negative impact on the development of the child where technology is concerned, in terms of the basic managing the basic things that we would have got.
But Ferdy, we've always had technology.
Yeah, we have
lead pencils and chalk a process of technology.
Abacus.
Oh, a slate.
Yeah.
Books and printing. So many people, this is the age of that. Mankind has always had some form of technology in its existence. Printing, writing, pictures. So this is not about what is that. The point is writing a letter with chalk or pen. Victor, you know that as a teacher, has a totally impact on the child's psyche and brain.
You're correct.
That see on a tablet, a device is done for them. It doesn't exercise anything in their mind.
You're correct. I was told, that when I'm preparing messages and presentations and so on, I was told that the greatest, let me make sure I get this correct. The greatest muscle for memory is writing.
Of course.
That's what I was told. If I write it, I will remember it. But if I just read it, or I see it on a tablet or whatever, and I try to remember it, it may be more difficult. But I was told that many years ago, that writing is the strongest muscle of regarding memory.
Of course. And that takes you back to we have to re-emphasize and go back to basic literacy. I am told that the people in the tourism industry tell me that people come to them and can't fill out a form. Want a job, can't write their name, can't fill out a form, can't write their address, can't spell it.
Well, the thing that's coming out to me as I've gone through the evening is how all of these things, they cannot, none of them can be done in isolation.
No, that's right.
What I've been hearing from you, from Victor, from Nathaniel, who was on earlier this evening, what I'm hearing is the need for, almost like setting aside a time where all of the people who are involved in these areas can come together and see how they integrate with one another, and how we can go about, establishing factors. And when I say factors, I'm talking about facts. I'm not talking about theories and ideas bouncing off of people's heads. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, studies done in other areas that could be very much like ours, places like Singapore, places like Denmark, and so on. From a educational perspective, you talk about traffic management. I can't remember what was up there on the screen, when they had it up to do with the areas of traffic management. I don't know if Dave can put that back up. You're talking about coming together, bringing things together with relation to Carifesta and the arts and all these different kinds of things. None of them can be done in isolation, because it seems that they're all intertwined, interrelated, and are and I don't want to say dependent on one another, but are affected by each other. And so they can't be done in isolation. I'm looking at the combination. This is what you have: the combination of engineering, technology, planning, enforcement, traffic signal control, real-time monitoring. All of these are integrated even within the context of our educational system, because we were talking about schools, location of schools, zoning. All of these things are blending together, and I just don't see how we can just wake up and predict that in 18 months we can have flyovers when in 8 years you cannot have proper roads.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I mean, is something wrong with these people? Do they need psychological help?
What hurts me, to a very large extent, right, Dr. Ferdinand, is that one of the worst roads you could ever think about in St. Joseph, one of the worst roads you could ever think about in St. Joseph is Bonwell Road. One of the worst roads you could ever think of. On my birthday, I traveled through Bonwell Road in a bus, and the bus dropped into a pothole. You felt it through every bone in your body when the bus dropped down in a pothole in Bonwell Road. What hurts me most of all is to see this government producing a budget of $4 million. We talk about the inflation factor, 100%. They're given $10 million spent on Carifesta, and you have $28 million more spent, and the new buses are still traveling through Bonwell Road in St. Joseph with all these potholes, and the people of Barbados, at least 30% of the people of Barbados, put back in this government 30-0. And they were allowed to spend $28 million more, technically speaking, if we accept all the other factors. And Bonwell Road is still up there full of potholes. I want to go back to the first caller, not the first caller, the caller there from St. George, our guy that's always on the calling program, nice guy. And he mentioned this whole thing about Miss Motley being part of the whole contingent a few years back when we had the Four Seasons.
Yes.
And he made me think of what transpired at Joe's River. Who was involved? Our Prime Minister. Who was involved? Four Seasons? Our Prime Minister. Who's involved in the current project there at Paradise? Our Prime Minister. I'm saying that there's a common thread that we cannot pose a blind eye to. That this project that is going on at Paradise will be intended to deprive us from accessing Clearwater Beach. And that common thread, and he also talked about Chris Sinclair, who was there before and now is here again. I'm saying it is by design. But that's just by the way. Because he made me think.
Well, gentlemen, we've literally run out of time. Victor, I'm going to hold that to be your final closing comment, if I can, which would leave Mr. Glenn Murray.
Last night you went over. We did it 20 minutes, man.
Yeah.
I know, but but you see, listen. I do not want to be caught in the same predicament as Carifesta. I do not want to be overrun by 800 and 900%. Okay, that's what I told Maxine last night.
my final column in all seriousness is that I talked about if you're really going to turn the society around, we have to employ all the known methods of first principles that develop people.
Yeah.
And children's development actually has been proven to start in the womb, in the fetus, are influenced by what the mother eats, does, all those things, the atmosphere. We therefore must say that. In the same way that, this is not the first time I'm saying that. They say that when mothers become pregnant, they get prenatal and postnatal care and information and guidance. We have to get some from the time one becomes pregnant. She also has to be exposed to the development of the fetus in the womb and what influences music, talking, reading. All those things have to. Because the child is a living being. All those things have been put there.
Yes, and it's
we have to go
receiving
back
the
to
information.
that and start from that to come forward. Otherwise, you can't do it when you get old. We have to be.
Drugs too.
Pardon?
We see with the drugs too. The drugs now that we are allowed now to smoke. We are allowed to smoke a spliff.
A big.
All the youth in this country can smoke a spliff. So that is also a factor now influencing crime rate.
And behavior.
Not only that aspect of drugs, Victor. There are also the aspects of drug use, pharmaceutical drugs, that also have a significant impact on what Glenn is talking about. But Glenn, the Jesuits, I would be made to understand, the Jesuits have a saying: give me the child for the first 7 years, and I will show you the man.
Of course.
Because my understanding from a psychological perspective is that the foundation of every human being is established in the first 7 years of its life. It's not that it can't be changed, because within the context of my faith as a big Christian believer, I know people can change. We know this. We have seen it. We have seen it miraculously done. But the reality is that the first 7 years of a child's life is the most formative and establishing period of that child's life. And I believe that this may be one of the areas that we have to revisit to see how that is impacting the future of the children. Because you have children getting involved from as early as 11, 12 years, 13 years old, and on in many immoral activities of all kinds.
Many of which are seen in the house or in the neighborhoods. And copycat. They normalize it. It's the norm.
And I remember when my mother sat on the child care board, these were some of the things that being the teacher that she was and the person, who cared for children in her school. And I watched my mother take children under her wing and help to formulate them from being some of the most troublesome children in the neighborhood to being some of the finest young people that left her school. And, these are things that I believe we need to get back to. We need to appreciate the necessity for the synergy between the home and the school, the parent and the teachers. I don't know what format Parent Teachers Association meetings take anymore. I do know, for example, that periodically my daughter attends special sessions, not PTAs, special sessions with her children's teachers, where she's able to engage the specifics with a teacher with regards to her child and so on. And I think we just really need to get back to these aspects very seriously. I think you all would have heard on, I think it was Friday, that there was a attack at Dighton Griffith School by several machete-wielding men, young men that went into the buses and whatnot there. Fortunately, my grandson ran helter-skelter, ran back into the school. These are things I think we need to revisit very seriously so that we can try, as it were, to save the next generation. That's my final comment. Glenn, I didn't let you finish yours, so I give you the opportunity to just wrap up your final comment.
I just want to say that we cannot expect anybody to save us. We have to save ourselves.
Yes.
Going back to the basics, going back to the first principle and coming forward again. And I'll always remember that one of the first things that Fidel Castro did when he went into power in 1959 was to declare war on illiteracy, eradicated illiteracy first. And that changed the society forever. That's why society has been able to produce so many good doctors and scientists and athletes because of that. And we used to have that before being input, but no, it doesn't matter anymore. We have to go back because that's where the formation starts too. All right. I mean, let us not fool ourselves that will happen by accident. Has to be carefully programmed, decided. I don't know what Minister Blackman will do about that if he thought about that, because I'm just saying challenges and this thing, but I want to see something written down. I can study myself, but I'm not saying that yet. Hopefully that will happen soon.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you both for really contributing significantly to the show tonight. Victor, I'm hoping that you will take up our suggestion to follow up as much as you can with regards to the matter at Bass Rock. And Glenn, as always, Glenn, it's the aspects that you share are so educational, informative, as it relates. Even I don't think this should be the last discussion we have with regards to the matter of traffic management, because I think it is a very serious matter. I think we heard somebody tonight mention about hitting a pothole, bursting a tire or something like that, having to buy it. And I think it's a while that they haven't heard back anything. I remember it happened to me, and I sold the car that I had and moved on to another vehicle before I got a response. And by then,
it takes years for government. It takes years for government. Years. It goes through all the bureaucracy. It takes years. Some people die and don't even get the money back.
Absolutely. So I want to thank you both, and of course, I want to thank Nathaniel as well again for his earlier contribution to the show. And before we leave tonight, on the behalf of Glenn and Victor, on behalf of Marcia and Dave and our entire team, we want to again convey to Mr. Ralph Thorne and his family our deepest condolences, and to let you know, sir, that you are in our prayers, you and your family.
I already made that phone call, too.
Great, wonderful. Right. I messaged him, but I'm going to make that call myself as well. So thank you all. And of course, this show would not be possible without all of you from the loyal opposition. We want to thank you. Thank you for even your comments. And I'm going to try one of these evenings to take more of your comments, more of your questions that we see coming up here on the screen, that we can address some of them. And we want to thank each one of you for supporting us in this endeavor to be the loyal opposition of Barbados, particularly in the absence of an official opposition in Parliament. And I close by again reiterating the fact that the people in Parliament are not our leaders. They are our representatives. And as such, we demand of them to represent the people of our country. And in so doing, the questions that we are raising here, the questions that are being raised by you, the loyal opposition, and the people of Barbados at large, should be raised in the House of Assembly by the representatives who offered themselves during the last general election and who received the nod from the people to represent them.
Sorry to do this to you further, but there was something in the Senate today that it was to draw to your attention, the public's attention. Most people have missed it. The question of the status of Senator Walters came up, and the president of the Senate read an opinion and a ruling from the clerk of Parliament that Senator Roy Walters was not an independent. He was there to represent the views, the opposition views in the public, right? In the same way you had members representing commerce or the church, he was meant to represent the opposition views, the views of the opposition in Parliament. So he really is an opposition senator.
Okay, fine. Okay. So we do have.
And I believe the same thing applies to
for the other young lady.
Right.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Wonderful.
Good.
Thank you so much. So God bless you guys. Have a great night. Thank you, Glenn, again. Right. Thank you, Victor. Okay. Good night. God bless you. Care. And take care of yourselves. Over to you, Dave.
Too. All right.
Miss a suit and tie with a hungry smile. Counting coins and a cut for me time. The bills them high and the wages crawl. Them a sell with dreams while them achieve the sky. The concrete crack where the children play. Mama say pray it change one day, but these laws lean on a crooked scale. Same old system set for we fail. Dash a fire upon corruption and burn it down from the top to the ground. Yeah, building a new world from the ashes now. And in hand stand proud. Black hands, black hearts, black crown. We rise when they push us down. Fire upon corruption, hear that sound. That's the roar of the people who can shift that crown. Hey. They wrote books that erase our names, turn our pain into market games. Gold rich in the land, but the streets stay poor. We knock and they lock every open door. We still arise like the morning sun. Ancient songs on the wounded tongue, from the cane fields to the city block. Same boat, one chain, breaking the lock. Oh, dash a fire upon corruption and burn it down from the top to the ground. Yeah, building a new world from the ashes now. And in hand stand proud. Black hands, black hearts, black crown. We rise when they push us down. Fire upon corruption, hear that sound. That's the roar of our people strong. Who get the land? Who write the law? Who fill their cup while we get war? We plant the seed, we till the soil. Time to claim the fruits of toil. Oh yeah. Dash a fire upon corruption and burn it down from the top to the ground, yeah. Building a new world from the ashes now. And in hand stand proud. Black hands, black hearts, black crown. We rise when they push us down. Fire upon corruption, hear that sound. That's the roar of the people who can shift that crown, yeah. That's the roar of the people strong.